folks. Once again, it is indeed your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. Make no mistake about it, Trump is in the news yet again. I don't think anyone does it better than President Trump. When it comes to being interesting, whether you're in favor of it or whether you believe it's controversial and it irks your nerves, I don't think there's anybody at being better in the media than President Trump. And as we're stating, he is indeed in the media today yet again. So what we're going to be talking about is the fact that President Trump had a Time magazine interview and a host of very controversial topics came out. We'll take two of them. I see folks are saying, no audio. Hang on a second. Okay, let me know if the audio is corrected, because what we're talking about is President Trump being in the media. Okay, the audio's good. Being in the media yet again for what appears to be a very controversial interview. No one does it better than President Trump. We got to give a guy credit. He knows how to stay in the media. Even after coming out of court, he's holding campaigns on the street. So shout out to President Trump for really being savvy at controlling the media narrative. But nevertheless, he was interviewed by Time magazine and made a couple controversial statements. So that's going to be the topic of today's show. What the hell did he say? Well, right off the bat, he stated there is an anti-white sentiment in America, and that America has started to slowly become biased against white people, and that if he is president, he will not allow that to happen. So that is a topic in itself. Do you believe America is slowly becoming anti-white to the point where we need presidential intervention or government intervention or something like that? Do you believe whites in this country are starting to be the victims of discrimination? That's going to be the first topic. Once again, like I said, Trump never lets us down when it comes to some of the statements he makes. It's hard to really discuss President Biden. I get it all the time. Why the hell don't you talk about Biden more? Biden doesn't give you gems like this. Conversations about Biden are, for lack of a better term, boring. We will talk about Biden when he does something noteworthy. Trump always does something noteworthy, whether you like him or not. Second part of this topic, in addition to Trump suggesting that America has become anti-white and that we're now somewhat discriminated against white people, he was asked this question. This is pretty hefty. The interviewer asked President Trump if states should monitor women's pregnancies. In other words, when a woman is pregnant, we've had all of these changes in abortion laws now that Roe v. Wade, the Dobbs decision, all of this has been overturned. So the interviewer, questioning Trump's mindset on, pro-life stances, he was asked if states should or could monitor a woman being pregnant so that they can decide to prosecute if she suddenly is not pregnant anymore. And Trump's response, I think they might do that. Again, you'll have to speak to individual states. So in other words, we're going to leave it up to the states to decide if they want to monitor a woman's pregnancy and make their own determination if they will prosecute. Now, there's a host of issues that could be brought up in this. First of all, do you favor allowing the state to do that to begin with? Trump could have said that's wrong. Just because we are giving rights back to the states does not mean the states can't make a bad decision. But Trump is basically saying we'll leave it up to the states to make that decision. Another reason why we're bringing this up is simple. If you allow the states to monitor a woman's pregnancy, it's a very good chance that could lead to her not being allowed to go out of state to terminate the pregnancy. Meaning that if you're in a pro-life state, it also is against the law to leave that state and commit an act of abortion. By the way, there's 2 states that actually have laws on the books that have tried to do that. Texas has a law that makes it illegal to use their highways to facilitate an abortion. So if you're going to have an abortion in, let's say, the likes of New Mexico, where it is legal, and you drive to New Mexico to get it done, you violated their law by using their highways to get to New Mexico. That is Texas. That is Texas, by the way. Now, I believe Missouri also was seeking to pass a law. We did a show on this, and I see in the comments, Jilly Dilly says, so is it okay to fly then? Well, how did you get to the damn airport? How did you get to the airport to fly to have that abortion? So understand that if you use the highways in the process, you could go down for it. Hopefully you live close enough to walk to an airport. But also, in addition to that, there is the state of Missouri, and we did a show on this because we actually played the clip coming from the congresswoman herself that submitted the bill, where if they wanted to make it so that upon being pregnant, upon the moment of conception, they essentially gave you, like what one of my callers says, they deemed it a life. They deemed it a resident of the state of Missouri. They didn't call it a life. They didn't issue a certificate. What they says is once you conceive, once you're pregnant, it is deemed a resident of the state. So the moment you urinate on a stick and you get the wrong amount of stripes, you now have a resident of Missouri growing inside of you. And according to the congresswoman, they wanted this law so that if someone left the state, they could be held accountable for what happened to one of their residents. So that was an actual quote, by the way. If you leave the state, you can be held accountable for what happened to one of their residents. So once again, this is pertaining to, it's only going back to the states, it's not taking away rights. That's 2 states that have made it so that you cannot leave without facing possible disciplinary actions up to and including, like North Carolina wanted to pass, putting you up for the death penalty. There was a politician in North Carolina that said it's murder and you should qualify if you have an abortion for corporal punishment. So it's coming from a lot of angles. But we want to ask, in regards to Trump's statement, anti-white sentiment, and allowing the states, individual states, to have the right to track pregnancies. And last but not least, I'm sure many of you are aware Trump was found guilty of being in contempt of court, fined a measly $9,000. But was it wrong for the courts to do it? Did he actually violate the order, or was his free speech rights taken away from him? Did what he do, or better yet, did what he say qualify simply as free speech, and maybe the judge is going overboard? Those are our topics today. You know the program is always will remain MAGA friendly. Nevertheless, liberals are welcome on the program as well. We do not block, ban, or censor anyone for their commentary. It's been that way since day one, always will be. You don't have to agree with anybody in the comment section. You do not have to agree with the host. When we say free speech, we mean it. We go left of Bernie Sanders to I'm having dinner with QAnon every day, all day. So look at it in the comments. Laughing my ass off for like 20 years. Don't quite get that one, Quan. He was warned, and given boundaries. He broke those, says Arshafine. Arshafine is a friend of the program. So you're saying that Trump was warned not to go overboard, and he broke the boundaries in regards to being found in contempt. So what do you think? Is $1,000 per offense? Is that a decent amount of discipline? Did they charge him too much? Or should they have charged him more? What say you? Go straight to the box. Anti-white sentiment in America allowing the states to track women who are pregnant. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program, Sight Beyond Sight.
What's up, Tim? How you feel, buddy?
I'm doing good. What do you think? You think Trump is getting it right? Yeah. Thank you for the hat and mustache there.
No, I don't think he is. I think that's just a way to rile up his base, to make them feel like there's an enemy, they're under attack. There's a quote, I can't remember the author, but what the quote says is, when you've been a benefactor and privileged for so long, equality begins to look like oppression. And I believe that's where we are. That because no one's infringing on the rights of anyone that is white. I don't know where they're getting the sentiment from or why they feel that way. But
let me give you some of the greatest hits, because I hear this a lot. Whites do not have White History Month. Whites don't have the white entertainment channel like there is BET for blacks. In other words, there are specific entities of American society that is specifically targeted to benefit minorities and blacks, and whites are wondering why they don't have it as well.
Well, I mean, it's simple, because everything has been towards whites. History has been the spoils of the white conquerors, right? When you go to history, you don't learn about any African kings or anything like that. All of these are European and American history. It has nothing to do with anybody else. So when people are saying that we contributed to this society as well, what's wrong with that? Because if you ask the average Caucasian or white American, they don't believe that anything great came out of Africa. They don't believe that any black person has invented anything. Right?
Wait. You said if you ask the average Caucasian, they don't think anything great came out of Africa. You really believe whites view Africa that bad?
Absolutely. You can see it on this app, on certain lives, right? You listen to the rhetoric of even Trump, that Africa is a shithole country, or even though it's a continent, but that's the rhetoric, right? They don't understand that things like medicine and math all started in Africa. The greatest institutions that ever started in the beginning of education was in Africa. The whole idea of vaccinations came from African slaves that came here.
Okay, so, hold on 1 second. Hold on, I'll let you continue. But for my YouTube audience, I see some folks are asking, am I no longer on TikTok? We're on the backup page. TikTok did not like some LGBT commentary last Friday, so we're down on the main account until Friday. So the handsome liberal without the final L, so it looks like libera, but the handsome libera is where we are currently at on TikTok. So we do have a backup page. It has about maybe a fourth of the numbers of the main page, the handsome liberal. But yeah, we're on TikTok. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying that a lot of the history that helped build this country that were not designed and built by white people is left out. Like they believe Thomas Edison is the greatest inventor, but a lot of his inventions were stolen.
Yeah, I just heard the other day that President Vladimir Putin suggested Jesus was a black man.
Well, I mean, even if you looked at history, like even years ago, you look at the garment that they use in the Christian church in Russia, it always had a picture of a black Madonna or a black Virgin Mary and a black Jesus. That's nothing new. That wasn't something we were unaware of, right? But the rest of the world was. They're making it seem like that's a great big discovery. I mean, how could a Caucasian hide in Egypt?
It's a good question. When I went to church a lot as a child. You had asked me when I was 5 years old what I want to be when I grew up. I would have said a pastor. And I went to Fellowship Missionary Baptist Church on the south side of Chicago. We had this huge portrait of Jesus behind the choir. So it was from floor to ceiling. This thing had to be easily, 40 foot tall. And it was a white man with blue eyes. And our church was all black. And we're sitting there, and this big, huge white man with blue eyes was on the wall.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the indoctrination. That's what happens when the victors are the ones who write history, right? That the history is based off of their lens. And when you have to share that lens, people think it's now that you're forgetting me. No. It's saying that the lens you looked at was a tunnel vision, So now let's broaden the lens and see what really happened. Let's talk about the marvels that happened around the world that were not just European.
So why do you think? I mean, because we're talking about religion, where folks want to do what's morally right. Why would you think they would try to deliberately change the image of Jesus? I mean, we're talking about thou shalt have no other God before me, and folks coming in the wrong image and things like that. Why do you think the church would deliberately try to change the image of Jesus?
Because if you make that image to fit you, then it makes you feel like you're right in everything you do because you have the support of this deity, right? That this deity is on my side. So what I do is correct. And that was pushed, that you are not, you should be happy to be in the presence of those who are descendants from the great deity.
Wow.
Right? And that's not what it was, right? Because if color did not matter, then even in the Bible, when they talk about, Jesus' feet was of burnt brass, those would have been the images, right?
Yeah.
But the images were deliberately changed, whether it was nefarious or not. They were deliberately changed.
Yeah. So what about, to go to the other topic before I move on, what do you think about Trump being asked if, states should be allowed to monitor the pregnancies of women, and him responding by saying, I think they might do that? Again, you'll have to speak to the individual states. So he's suggesting that he do think it's a possibility states may start monitoring women while they're pregnant. And he like, well, you got to go ask them, even if he's president.
Yeah, I think he's playing the fence. He's not going to give you an answer because I think he just
did. I think he just did. He's okay with it.
What I mean by that is he's not going to give you a concrete, definitive answer and say what he supports and what he's not going to support. He's going to tell you that it depends on the state. That's the easiest way to get out of that question without giving an answer, because you don't want to upset your base, right? Yeah. His base is about states' rights. So you put that back on them and let it be. Now, what he really feels, we'll never know. But that whole idea of states monitoring women being pregnant is setting a terrible precedence.
Well, let me ask you this, though. You say his base is all about states' rights. How do you think he might respond if he was asked, should states be allowed to monitor right-wing websites?
Oh, he's not going to be for that.
So he's not for states' rights.
Exactly, but that's what I'm saying. He's going to give you the answer that lands him in the middle. Okay. Where he's not giving a real answer, but he's not taking a side. He's going to play the 50, right? That's what he always does when there are hot topics. He's going to play the 50. Even with abortion, if you listen to his rhetoric over time, it's changed. Even when he was president and these mass pew-pews was happening, he took a stance on saying we're going to ban the weapons and do due process later. And then he retracted that immediately, right?
He's changed his stance on a few things, from being Republican and Democrat, his stance on, the Second Amendment and things like that. But I got to give a shout out to Trump. It has been very effective for the man. I mean, it's work. I do got to move it on, no sight beyond sight. Thank you for coming through. Anytime. So you too. Moving the program on. Aaron asked in the comments, why do conservatives cry too much government? Wait a minute. Why do conservatives cry too much government only when they choose to? I don't think that's unique to conservatives. I think the Democrats or liberals also pick and choose when they're not in favor of big government or too much government. I think it comes from both sides. Looking in the comments, real quick, moving on. And I see Fleur, what is that? I don't know how to pronounce that name, but that's why am I holding a pen? Because I like to pay attention to the guests. I am a strong proponent of free speech, and I like to remain focused on what my individual guests are saying. So sometimes I may write something down so that I don't have to interrupt their point, and then I can look back and remember where the hell I wanted to comment on what they were saying. So there is your question. Looking in the comments, though, real quick, conservatives just voted down the veterans bill, all of them. I did hear something about that, but the first question I would ask is what else was in that bill? Because sometimes the liberals will try to sneak things in the bill that they know the conservatives don't want, so that when the bill gets shot down, they can point to parts like that and say, well, see, the conservatives are not on your side. My guess is there's probably more in that veterans bill than just taking care of veterans, but I could be wrong. Looking in the comments, if you write it in cursive, half the kids can't read it, says Jeff S. I don't know. I know in cursive is becoming less and less popular, but I do believe most children still can read in cursive writing. Big conservative government is coming soon. That's kind of scary. So what do you folks think? Tracking women while pregnant. Going back to the box, tap the screen, get your boy on up to around 25,000. Smaller audience because we're on a backup profile, but we still have nearly 400. So tap the screen, get me on up to around 25,000. It does help out the algorithm and it does bring more people to the party. Same on YouTube. Feel free to smash that like button. If you enjoy this type of dialogue from both sides of the aisle, feel free to subscribe to the channel. World of Truther. Okay, that is a different name. I haven't seen that in a while. World of Truther. Good afternoon.
How you doing, Tim? It's been a while.
I'm doing good. Good to have you back. So what do you think? Being allowed, the states having the power to track a woman who is pregnant. What say you?
Yeah, I don't think that's a winning issue in this election cycle. I'm all for I'm never going to counter signal against Donald Trump, and I think everyone should vote for him. But I think we need some advisement when it comes to this guy. His comments the last few days, I don't know if it's inducive with winning an election in America in 2024. I'm pro, or anti-abortion.
So wait a minute, you are MAGA, correct?
Yeah, through and through.
Okay, through and through MAGA, but you are even admitting that Trump's comments are not winning statements.
Winning in the sense of what's moral and just, absolutely, that should happen. But when it comes to winning an election and securing the White House, that should be number one most important thing, not what we should do to women in certain states or how we should his comments on the protest yesterday were terrible. He said, shut down the protests. It's such a winning issue. If you were to lean into Joe Biden and say he's anti-First Amendment, he hates free speech, and he's arresting college kids because Bibi Netanyahu wants them gone. That's a winning issue. I don't know why he's banned the women, I don't know.
But my question is this. Those are not just comments coming from a Republican contender. We know if he became president, a lot of that stuff would turn into reality. If you don't like it now, why are you supporting him?
Oh, no, I support the anti-abortion, full stop abortion, go after the women. I'm all for that. It's just... We're in an election cycle. We have to win the White House. And stuff is not popular.
So what you're basically saying, even though you do support what he's saying, don't say it. You're basically admitting he's saying the quiet part out loud. He should keep it quiet until he wins the office. Am I hearing that right?
Well, he's gone back and forth with people who are even harder on the anti-abortion stuff than Trump, and he put it perfect. He said, you guys shut the fuck up. I win the elections. I get Roe v. Wade. I get that shot down in court. He's like, I get real things done. Sure, I might not have the best stance on it 24/7, but we want real change. You can go be anti-abortion all you want. You're not in the White House. You have no power. We want to get in the White House, then we can, then make our move. We want to win the election, and unfortunately in America, it's just not popular. These women want to kill their babies, and it is what it is.
But you're okay with literally letting the government get involved in a woman's, pregnancy to the point of keeping track on what she's doing?
I haven't looked into this too much. I'm not sure, what was proposed. So are we going to...
Well, here's the question. Well, the question was, you're right. It didn't get real deep into it. But he was asked if states should monitor women's pregnancies. And he said, I think they might actually do that. He said, again, you'll have to speak to the individual states. Why not just say that's wrong? Is it not wrong for a state to track a woman in any way? Why is the state involved in it?
Well, the state's already tracking me, so I don't think it's like a moral issue. If it's like, well, this woman was pregnant 2 weeks ago and now she's not. Like, we should have to account for this baby. Did she sex traffic this baby? Did she sell it on the black market? I don't know. Where did this baby go? We have to account for it.
Here's what I don't get. Here's what I don't get. I can go out and buy a cache of AR-15s, and the right does not want me tracked at all. Don't want anyone to know what I did with those guns. But if she gets pregnant, we need to know what's going on with that fetus. Explain that.
Well, it's like an inanimate object versus like a human life. So it's like a gun. Like, who cares? Throw it in the shredder, throw it in the fire. But like a human life, like, it should be like valued. That's like the whole pro or anti-abortion stance.
All right. And okay,
it's like you can't, like, there's no moral society where women can be going to the doctors having their baby sucked out of them so they can go like work for their boss or something. Like, no, it's terrible.
So what type of do you believe the government should, if she does have an abortion when it's illegal, do you believe the government should impose some type of criminal penalty on her?
Oh yeah, that's what it's there for sure.
What would you
cannot be doing that in a moral society?
To what extreme?
Ooh, I'd go after the doctor hard. The doctor, minimum 100 years for the doctor. Throw the doctor in jail for 100 years. You're doing that in our country, and you're some sort of medical profession. Absolutely, 100 years.
What about the mom?
For the woman, 1,000. I don't know. That's a joke, but it should be, I mean, somewhere around there. Yeah, 50 or 20 years. I don't think you should be doing that. Same thing if I like came and killed you, you know?
So if a mom, let's say the doctor's not involved, you know, people talk about hangers and taking drugs and things like that. What if she does it all on her own? You're talking giving her a life sentence?
Seems fair, yeah. I mean, that's what I would want if someone came up to me and killed me. I would want them to be punished.
Wow. All right, so let me ask you the second question. I'm almost scared to ask you this one, Truth, after hearing that. That's pretty strong, man. But when I say free speech, I absolutely mean it. Let me ask you this. In that same interview, he suggested that currently in America there is an anti-white sentiment, and is saying that this country has become somewhat biased against white people, and if he is reelected, he would stop that. What say you?
Oh yeah, anti-white racism. It's pretty much been proven these last few weeks. Like, look at every single Ivy League university in the country. They're now they want to send the Army, the National Guard. They want to expel these people from school, possibly the country. You heard Mike Johnson and Greg Abbott say.
They want to expel. They want to expel who from the country?
These anti-Israel protesters, the anti-war protesters, these people who are going crazy for Israel at the college protests, nationwide. First time, like, this is country international. It's gone. They're doing it in France. This is some big news.
How does the effort?
I'll tie it together. Let me relate it for you. So you have the government on one hand. You have all these students that are getting brutalized by the police for using their free speech. But on the other end, for the past 5-6 years, these same institutions have been pushing like rabid mouth anti-white racism, Black Lives Matter terrorism, and they promoted all the violence for Black Lives Matter. They said, well, that's just a minority group getting theirs. That's what they are. It's good for them. They're standing up to the oppressive white overclass. Cheers all around. The second these guys hold up a Palestinian flag, these people gotta go, shut it down, call the army in and deport them from the country. They should lose all their scholarships. What happened to our liberal elite being so progressive? Now they're like, no, Netanyahu, bomb all of Israel, turn into a resort. And it's like, where was this energy at the border? Where's this energy when white people were being attacked at a university? Said they were disgusting colonizers and they need to be banned. It was promoted, it was pushed, and you were told to shut up, white person, if you pushed back. But now it's like, send the military on them, sick them, kick them out of the country. It's like, okay, we know who matters now.
Wait a minute. So wait, hold on, hang on. So you're saying that getting rid of the pro-Palestinian protesters, you're saying that they're white? That the people who are protesting in favor of Palestine, they are white, and suggesting that they get kicked out of the country is being anti-white?
So, like, the precedent has been set by our liberal overclass that if you're a minority group, you're allowed to protest, you're allowed to riot, and you're allowed to even vandalize property. If, it's for a social just cause, like the anti-war and liberal.
Where is the anti-white sentiment in this? I don't get where you're going with this.
Where's the anti-white sentiment? The billionaires, the trillionaires, they freaking gave millions of dollars to these universities when they were pushing anti-white sentiment, colonialism bullshit, CRT, and all this anti-white stuff. No one cared. No one blinked an eye. Our representatives in Congress, they said, well, we have a thin majority. We can't pull our funding because then it would just turn into a liberal school. And it's like, what the fuck? And now they're saying, with the second they hold up a Palestinian flag or a Gaza flag, okay, pull all funding, let's arrest all these people, get them out of the country. Where was that sort of, energy when it comes to the anti-white hatred at the colleges? It shows they don't care about us.
Here's what confuses me. You mentioned the elites giving money to these schools. The elites are white. The schools are, huh?
Robert Kraft, our elite is liberal, and they say they're white, but they're mostly Israeli Zionists. Like Robert Kraft, he doesn't identify as a white person. He identifies as a Jewish guy, and that's why he's pulling all of his money from Colombia. He says,
wait a minute. But hold on, truth. Being Jewish is a religion. Being white is a race. Jews are mostly white people.
Yeah, but they don't look at themselves as white. Like
but they are. Transgender don't look at themselves as if they're men. But you say they're definitely men. If you can't identify as an opposite sex, how the hell does religion change your race?
Well, in the famous interview with Morgan Freeman, where they were grilling him on Black History Month and saying, you're such an awesome black figure, what should we do with Black History Month? And he said, listen, I'm an actor, I'm a man, I'm not a black man. And then what did the interview say to him? He goes, what if I refer to you as a white man or all this white accomplishment? And the interview goes, whoa, I'm not white, I'm Jewish. And this is how they look at themselves. The Jewish groups have been pushing anti-white racism in America for decades, and they didn't think it would ever bounce back at them, and these liberal kids, these transgender kids would look at them and say, you're white, you're evil, you're the problem. And that's exactly what's happening.
All right, so you're MAGA and you definitely agree with both of Trump's sentiments. You do believe there's an anti-white sentiment. You think Trump can stop it?
Well, you want the best example for the anti-white sentiment? When it comes to colleges, a black kid gets preferential treatment to go into Harvard, Columbia, Yale. What the fuck? These people are going to be running the State Department. They're going to be possibly Supreme Court justices. They're going to be running the best institutions in the world, BlackRock. You're telling me that black people just get preferential treatment to these jobs? That's crazy. Or airline pilots, half the pilots have to be black. Like, that's a real problem in our country.
Okay, I do got to move it on. You're always interested as usual, but I will tell you this. If you think black people are getting preferential treatment at these colleges, why is their student body mostly white? Seems like it would be black if they're getting all of the treatment.
Then again, a lot of these, if you dig into the demographics of these Ivy League schools, the white people are way below expected average. A lot of these people at Yale and Columbia, they have a Jewish population of sometimes 33% at these Ivy League schools. Asians would be crushing it. If it was a true meritocracy, Harvard math would be all Asians, and that's what it is, so be it. But it's better than, having these... Just the pro-black movement, anti-colonial is like, it's rooted in anti-white hatred. If you dig into the text that they cite, it's like Franz something. These people say it's got to be violent. White people are to pay, and there's an aggressor and an oppressed class. It's not good. Our elites aren't going to help. And one thing, our liberal elites are so pro any movement, pro social justice, whenever it is. But the second they hold up a Palestinian flag, send in the army, remove all these people from their classes. You think if these people were fighting for trans rights, they'd be sending in the army? If they were fighting for white people being colonialists, not particular to Israel, you think they would send in the army and pull all the funding from the schools? Do you really think that, Tim?
I could respond in a lot of ways, but I do got to move it on. Truth, it's always good to talk to you. You got some interesting points. I would certainly like to talk to you longer, but I do have other folks. Always welcome back. Doors are always open to you, man.
All right.
World of truth. Now, me and my last caller don't agree on the damn thing. But when I say I believe, I support, I am pro-speech, pro-First Amendment, we mean it here. I seen a lot of folks in the comment section did not agree with my last caller. I seen a hell of a lot of folks on YouTube, by the way, that did. What my last caller talked about is it does resonate with a lot of people. So understand, some of you folks who don't believe that America is becoming anti-white. A lot of folks do. So I do believe in letting folks speak. JJ24, thank you, Tammy Green. Beautiful. Thank you, Tammy. Looking in the comments, hang on a second. There are contradictions galore, says that girl. I thought I was hearing that as well. The moment they fly the Palestinian flag, the liberals go after them. It did seem contradictory, but I believe in letting the man speak, so I let him state what he had to say, and we countered where we could. Looking in the comments, Rod is the greatest. A lot of black folks, or better yet, a lot of folks, strike the black comment, a lot of folks think chocolate milk comes from brown cows. That doesn't make it true. Tap the screen, folks. Over 500 of you in here. Get me on up to 40,000 in the likes. It helps out the algorithm. Feel free to smash that like button on TikTok. I'm pro Sonic, anti-Mario, make the world blue again from the Nintendo era. Dave says that now their children and grandchildren are definitely going to be given a chance. You think that Trump might save white children and grandchildren by preventing the world from being anti-white? Before we go back to the box, that is what we're discussing today, folks. President Trump interviewed by a Time magazine reporter, and he stated that there's currently an anti-white sentiment in America and that this country has become biased against white people, and he would do something about that if he becomes the 47th president of the United States. And he was also asked real quick if states should monitor women's pregnancies. Woman is pregnant, should the states monitor it? And his response was, I think they might actually do that. But again, you'll have to speak to the individual states. So that is an actual quote that the states could do it. And he stated that you'd have to talk to the states, but he doesn't sound like he himself would really have any resistance to the states doing so. Jason Richardson, good afternoon. Welcome to the program. Anti-white sentiment in this country. Have we gone too far, perhaps left? Jason, what say you?
Okay. So first of all, I don't know if you remember last time I was up here, your MAGA people, they got me booted. I've been banned for like last week.
MAGA doesn't censor free speech. That's what I was told.
Well, you even said it, that it definitely was not anybody liberal that actually got me booted.
Yeah, your commentary was obviously pro-left. It didn't make any sense for the liberals to do it. But let's get into the topic. Hopefully that doesn't happen today.
That was my point. I was hoping it wouldn't happen today.
Let's see if we can make that happen.
First of all, Trump saying anything about anything in this country being anti-white is laughable.
How so?
We talking about a man who's gotten how many opportunities, how many different crimes, and how much dirt has he done and hands in? Like, he gets a consideration that nobody else on this planet would get. Nobody, at least.
So you're saying there is a two-tier justice system like Trump talks about, but it's working in his favor?
It's always going to work in the YT favor because it's written for them.
We're in 2024. You still believe the justice system works on behalf of white people?
Yeah, they don't get the same treatment.
Then what is Trump talking about then? What is he talking about? He makes it sound like they're getting treated worse.
Well, that's to push his agenda. That's because that's what his followers want to hear. Just like that last guy you had up there. I mean, everybody was saying, well, he's a little off base and he's, this and that. He's flat out a racist.
What makes you? What makes you say? Wait a minute. What makes you say my last caller is a racist? I'm curious.
Just if you ever heard that phrase that you've been around enough presidents, you've been called that name too many times. You know how it feels. When he was speaking on blacks, it was like, why do they get preferential treatment over whites? They don't. That's called inclusion. They're trying to balance the scale because white people are getting afforded the great opportunities to go to Harvard and all of this, while statistically we weren't being represented in that demographic.
But my last caller in Gen X, my last caller suggested that it is blacks that are getting preferential treatment to go to these schools. And by the way, Gen Xer, I see you on YouTube. Thanks for the super chat. Gen Xer even says, I want reparations, and he's a white guy. He's MAGA. So these folks are claiming that it is the white race that's currently being mistreated. Now, you mentioned schools and Ivy League colleges. What about folks who are suggesting that with the affirmative action and the way they're doing things now, they're making it pro-minority, pro-black, that it's easier for them to get in, even if they got lower test scores and things like that, than white people.
Isn't it sad that we have to have affirmative action to be equal? We have to have somebody tell them, hey, by law, you have to bring so many people of color in order for the scales to be balanced. And they're not even balanced.
Wow.
That affirmative action is what, maybe a third of the school's population? Maybe a third? I mean, come on. Like that. The fact that we have affirmative action is your answer to that question.
And I believe they got rid of it.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely gone by now. But the fact that they had to put that in, that shows that it's not the balance isn't equal.
Yeah.
The reason they're saying, oh well, you have to have so many African Americans, or you have to have so many people of color in your school every year.
So what you're basically saying is, if affirmative action didn't exist to tell these colleges you got to have so many African Americans, they wouldn't have any at all. Sounds like what you're saying.
Exactly. Well, I wouldn't say any at all, but it would definitely be
lopsided,
cherry picked. It would definitely be cherry picked.
You're telling me our higher learning institutions would look like a Trump rally?
Well, you know what? That might be what got me banned. Because remember, I talked about the Trump rally and the blacks for Trump. Them actors that he pay every rally to stand behind him and hold them signs up. Yeah, those would be the only type that they would include.
Well, being candid, I always tell folks I did go to an actual Trump rally. It's been about 5 months ago, and there was a few blacks there, including myself, and we were in line for about 5 hours, and I had a black guy, probably biracial, because he was considerably lighter than I am, but he was certainly at least partially black, and we were in line talking. He was certainly donning Trump garb, and while we were talking, he revealed to me that he had on a very interesting shirt. Now, we're standing out in public still, waiting to get in the venue. We're 4 or 5 hours ahead, waiting to get in the Trump venue. He opened up his shirt, kind of Superman style. He actually had on a shirt under that said, the N-word, for lack of a better term, the N-words for Trump. And I told him, no, you can't. It wasn't the hard R, but it was the N-word plural for Trump. And I told him, I was like, I don't know. Don't do it, because he's standing next to me. I didn't want somebody to snap a picture of that, and all of a sudden now I'm in the paper standing next to this guy.
Right. Yeah, you definitely don't want no parts of that.
No.
But just like anything else, there's always going to be a few of if you go to each demographic, there's always going to be a few that go and we'll call it left of mainstream. You know what I'm saying? Where, black people aren't supposed to vote. I honestly, to be honest with you, and I'll be 100% honest with you, in 2016, when Trump was running, I thought just for a hot second, maybe, just maybe, a business person running the country, not a politician, might be beneficial. And then Trump started talking. I would tell you this, man. If he shut up with all the,
he would be in office still.
The rhetoric. He would not only be in office, but he might actually do some good. Maybe.
I think even a lot of I've had a lot of MAG on the show that say the same thing, that even though they believe Trump's policies are way better than what we have now, they believe he talks too much as well. That's not uncommon even among his supporters. But I do agree with you. I got to move it on, but I do agree with you that if he wasn't tweeting and talking so much, he wouldn't be. Some of his problems, a lot of his problems are self-inflicted, up to and including him being found in contempt this morning. So I do agree with that.
Yeah. Now, I wanted to say this the last time, but so before you bypass me, just because this is definitely a liberal topic, I want to make sure that everybody here understands that RFK in this election is not, he's a plant.
From who?
The Republican side, because he leans more Democratic. So if he can get any of the Democrats who kind of don't like Biden on his ship, that just takes votes away from Biden. They're trying to.
I gotta disagree. If he was a Democrat or Republican plant, they would tell him to shut up about the vaccines because they would know that ain't resonating with Democrats. I don't know about that. I don't know if he's a Republican plant.
Just because they planted him doesn't mean they can control him.
Well, that plant ain't gonna get much sunlight.
They planted him just to try to tip. How many votes did Trump lose by this last election? 10 million, 9 million, something like that. Yeah, they're trying to take those 9 million out of the equation. If they figure if they can flip any of the Democrats, because any of the Democrats voting for Kennedy, that's a vote not for Biden.
Yeah, I hear you, but I don't think there's anybody voting in this election. I agree with you. There's a hell of a lot of people who don't like Biden, probably even, more that are vocal about Trump. But I don't think anyone that is supporting Kennedy believe he has a real chance of winning. I can't imagine it. Even if you believe.
They don't. That's the thing. That's the Republican. That's where the Republican stands. None of them. They all know he's not going to win.
No, I mean, even the people who are supporting Kennedy, I can't believe that they think he has a real chance of winning.
I feel like that's a plan. I feel like it is, out of this last time, we're looking at it. Trump lost by so many votes. He can't prove that the election was rigged or stolen. There's no proof or evidence to that. He had his own people go in. They said, no, there's nothing. He fired them. Let's get a new set of people in. They got a new set of people in. They got rid of, it to me, it's what it looks like. Just standing on the outside looking in, I feel like any votes that go to Kennedy are gonna take away from Biden, closing the gap that Biden won by the last time.
All right, Jason, I do disagree, but I appreciate you coming through. Good to talk to you again.
Definitely.
All right, looking in the comments real quick, Bab sent, I think it says Bab sent or something says, did you talk about the Time article? So flipping insane. That is what the program is. That is what we're discussing today. Two of the topics from that article, one being Trump stating that there is an anti-white sentiment in this country, that the country has started to become biased against white people. And if he becomes the 47th president, he will thwart that. He will do something about it. And last but not least, the suggestion that under his watch, the states could, or should, because I believe the word used was should track the pregnancies of women. And he stated that, well, you got to ask the states. In other words, I won't do it, but if the states choose to track the pregnancies of women, he didn't seem to be very resistant to it. So what say you folks, the one and only? Thank you for your generosity, by the way. DJ Julio, good afternoon. Welcome to the program. I don't know what just happened, but we tried to bring up a guest and it dropped. So we'll continue moving it on with Miss Mo Betta. Always good to have a female in some of these conversations. Miss Mo Betta, welcome back. Being pregnant and having the state track your pregnancy, what say you?
I mean, it's going to take a lot of work for them to do so.
How?
You can have somebody that's pregnant and not even. The only way they can report the pregnancies is when it's delivered.
Well, no. The minute if you go to the doctor for ultrasounds, they can have a duty to report.
That was going to get to my next point. It's just when people are going to sidewind or try to privately do things and underminedly do things and do things that's not in the public eye, so to speak. So, like I said, the only time they can really tell, you have some women that go pregnant their whole pregnancies and nobody know because they don't. Not all women. Wow.
That's what I said too. Thank you, Andy. I wanted to let you speak, but damn, Andy, I did see that. Go ahead.
That was dope.
That was very nice. Reminded me of the old Pac-Man cartoon. Go ahead.
Right. But you have some women that don't even go to the doctor at all. That don't go to the doctor, believe it or not, as sad as it may sound. And I know personally people that haven't. You have some girls that have been pregnant, they didn't know they were pregnant until they were delivering babies.
So what about, but you could do, like, for instance, when they went after the making of methamphetamines, they put Sudafed and they put the ingredients to make meth behind the counter and things like that. They could put the pregnancy sticks behind the counter, prenatals. They could make it so that once you're pregnant, there's no way to hide it.
That's right. I'm just saying, but I don't get what are they trying to accomplish by doing so?
Bringing children to life is what they're trying to accomplish.
You know what? They're so full of crap and so hypocritical because, like, you said it, and many other your callers said it. Like, if you were that concerned, why are these orphanages and so many other places full of children? They have no homes, no place to call home, nobody to take care of them but the states or private companies. So you miss me with that.
Yeah.
They're full of cocky. Excuse my French,
So, but how do you feel about President Trump making it clear he would offer no resistance to it? He didn't say he supports the states tracking women. He pretty much said it's up to them. So while I'm not necessarily saying I'm pro or against, I'm gonna leave it up to them. How do you feel about him making it clear he wouldn't resist it?
Well, you know why he resists a lot of things? Because he's not knowledgeable. He just goes on his power, his motion to have power, to say, well, I'm in control of whatever's happening around me. So you know what? I had the power to say I'm going to allow these states to handle it because his mental capacity couldn't handle it.
But Trump has children himself. I don't know if I would say he's not knowledgeable. He probably has used some pro-choice, pro-life tactics himself on some former girlfriends. So I think he's knowledgeable. It would not surprise me if Trump has sponsored a pregnancy termination once or twice in his life.
He might have, but you see how he flip-flopped. He's been flip-flopping. First he was pro-choice, now he's pro-life, and you understand what I'm saying? So you don't even know where he has his feet planted. He likes the sound of his own voice. So wherever he thinks the majority is going, that's where he's going to go to. That's been his MO.
It seems to work well for him. So what do you think in regards to the second topic? Is America starting to discriminate against white people, in your opinion?
Where? How? I'm trying to. I need some solid examples. Like me as a black woman.
Black History Month. Whites are wondering, how the hell do blacks get an entire month dedicated to their race when they don't get one?
Well, we should have an entire year if they want to speak. We should get an entire year, and they better start doing their history. And I'm not just told. I'm not racist by any means necessary. I'm not by any means. Excuse me. I'm not racist. However, the history. If you want to go back to history and figure out why we are where we are today and why we got a Black History Month, go back and do your research. Go and research how black people and stuff were treated. How the white has been the majority in this country since its existence. since they came over here and started colonizing. I should say, not since the existence, because there were people here already, but since they started coming over here and colonizing, the white man has had the upper hand on everything.
But does that still apply in 2024? Because some folks will suggest racism in the years ago, none of us are slaves. That stuff has happened quite a while. We fought. Martin Luther King gave us civil rights. Why are blacks still harping on this? That's the sentiment from a lot of folks.
Because what happened was slavery was never really abolished. It was only pacified and shifted. So they went from cracking the whip to owning all of the corporations and all of the real estate, to where there was redlining and stuff. And you go into certain banking systems and different things like that. Why do you think they ask for your race on everything? Yeah. They ask, what's your race? So they want to see who you are, so they know how to deal with you accordingly. So it was like, okay, we don't want Trump himself. He wouldn't rent to black people and wouldn't pay his workers and stuff like that. So that's what makes him such a hypocrite, because the same things that you've done, now you want to accuse other people of. You are them.
But we've had a black president. We've had a black president. The current president, better yet, current vice president is black. Three members of the Supreme Court are minorities. If you factor in, you got Sotomayor is Hispanic. Then you got Thomas, for whatever that's worth, and Latasha Jackson or whatever. So you got three members of the Supreme Court. 33% of the Supreme Court is minority. So, I mean, is it really racist?
Yes, possibly. And not to mention, they allowed them in there. Look who they are all married to. Someone of the opposite race. And that's just my humble opinion. Katanji has a white husband. Clarence Thomas has a white wife. And they're all married to somebody of the opposite race.
So is the vice president too. That's interesting. I didn't think about that.
Let's start calling a spade here. Wow. You understand? So I want to understand, where does he think that the white people are being discriminated against? Yeah. Help me understand. I have conversations for understanding, not just to listen. I need understanding also.
Well stated. Well, like I said, they brought up affirmative action. You heard one of my callers earlier was saying that black people get preferential treatment when they're trying to enroll in schools.
Where?
That's what I asked. I don't know where that's happening at. I'm like,
show us this stuff. Like, listen, when you come forth with certain things, and if you don't have anything to back up, please do me a favor and shut the F up. Shut the F up. If you ain't got nothing to back that up, then you just listening to somebody else talk. But prove that. Prove it to shut me up. You understand what I'm saying? I stand corrected on anything that I speak out of place. I stand corrected on those things, but first show me the proof. Correct it.
All right, Miss Mobetta, well stated. Good talking to you again. Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. Miss Mobetta is getting stronger with each conversation as well. Please leave women's rights alone, says Maureen Parker in the comments. Well, they're going to respond by saying they're not taking away women's rights. Lisa, I wonder if I take you home, will we still be in love? Going back to the box, we tried to bring up Julio. Let me see. Well, now to hit Andy. Thank you, Lisa, by the way. Appreciate that support. Thank you for the hat, DJ Julio. Andy, tracking women. Now, I already know how you feel about this being in the great state of Alabama, pro-women's rights, Alabama. But
have you seen Gavin Newsom's new commercial that he released into the state?
No.
It shows a cop chasing two women to the border of the state. And they're talking to each other, and they're like, we're almost there. And they see the lights come on behind them. And you hear whoop, whoop. And it says, ladies, get out of the car. Can we take this pregnancy test?
Ooh.
They hand her a stick.
Ooh, I don't think that's been released nationally.
They're going to start carrying sticks in their cars.
Damn.
That's about the truth.
Damn. I don't think that's been released nationally. DJ Julio, thank you for the lightning bolt.
Lots of people have already seen it. I'll send it to you. It's on TikTok.
Please do. That is a topic in itself. So actually Americans,
I feel like I do work for you on the side. That's like
I have a lot going on. Plus, I'm working a day job while I'm actually having right now between my day job. But
And look, I am sorry that the most privileged individual in the universe, because his money has bought him delaying all these trials, where most of us would be burning in jail forever. Like even the go, I'm too poor to get out of that.
yeah,
That takes real clout.
two-tier justice system. He said it is a two-tier justice system. But
yeah, and it's definitely working in his favor, isn't it?
yeah, every time you come on Andy, Gen Xer on YouTube, the guy who don't believe women have the right to vote, his response, your voice has always led him to say, hearing you makes him want a sandwich. In other words, you need to be in the kitchen.
You know what that means, Tim? That means I'm a powerful enough speaker for my cause. I make them nervous. That's a good thing.
Well, he does believe that you should not even be able to vote because you're hurting the direction of this country. Women are too emotional, he says, to be able to vote.
The most privileged class, let's see, white male. I think the word after that's fragility, right?
I've heard that before, yes.
It's amazing how the people that wrote all the rules got all the laws in their favor, have all the rights.
But when you say, but when you say the most privileged class, Trump is suggesting that the privileged class are the ones that are being discriminated against. He don't see the white privilege you're talking about.
Not, since he's been given all his money, he really had to work. I mean, he don't really even build nothing. He just leases his name out. Like, he don't really create nothing. Banks give him money based on his name and his back, door deals with his little
but
friends.
That is specific to Trump. He is saying white folks, even the ones that were not, born with a silver spoon.
Okay, especially men. All the rules are in their favor. All of them. White men have
you been to wait a minute.
They
you
have
said
all the rights.
Hold on. Wait a minute.
Wait. When did they have to fight for the right to vote? When was that?
Okay,
Are their rights like the civil rights? Do they have to be codified every 25 years? I mean, I'm just trying to figure out when this was. Were they out marching with women's suffrage? I mean, when was their? They are the oppressors. We're the oppressors. It's like Marie Antoinette, let them eat cake.
I got one pushback. If you go to divorce court, family court, the court in general, even criminal court, it's pro-woman. You are far better off being a woman in court.
No, it's not. Women get special dispensation from the court because we don't have rights. Wait, Tim, they give women more in court because we don't have rights on the regular playing field. So if you wanted the courts to be reformed for the men, you would give women equal rights. They would take away our special dispensation, and y'all would be back on the even playing field. But since y'all don't want to give us men don't want to give women even playing field, that's why that exists.
I gotta disagree. I gotta disagree with that. I mean, if you kill your husband, they start asking you, was he abusive and things like that. If a man kills his wife, nobody gives a damn if he was abusing her or not. He's a criminal. But they will give a woman an out by saying she was abused, even if it's sometimes verbally.
What's that been lately? You seen some of these cases for women lately, huh? They have decided that women can go to jail just like men. Didn't Trump let out a woman that was doing 50 years?
Yeah.
I mean, that is a false. Now, in family court, we do get a special dispensation because we don't have rights. But the rest of the time, the judges are like, no, because there's judges sitting on the bench now. They're like, no, she did it. Send her ass to jail. Ain't got a problem with that no more. That's why they're having to build more women's prisons.
I'll tell you this.
Narrative.
Now you admit family court is tailored toward women. Now you say it's because women don't have rights, but you are admitting that when it comes to...
but you can look it up. It's because women don't have rights under the law.
Okay, but
when women get rights under the law, that will go away.
But here's the point.
If Trump had not shelved the ERA, y'all wouldn't have a problem in court today.
But here's the point I'm trying to make. When you look at how men, particularly fathers, are treated in family court when they're seeking their parental rights and things like that, I do believe, and I've had folks on the show, men state that is why they don't have a lot of sympathy towards women with these strict abortion laws, is because women didn't have any sympathy towards men when they were going through all of these visitation and custody bench.
Judges for most of those trials, was it?
Huh?
Not for a long time. It wasn't women that were the judges of most of those trials, was it? Nope, it was men.
But just because, wait a minute, Andy, just because it's a man, if you are a woman, hold on, hang on, Andy, you know, just because it's a man that is behind the bench, women often know that the guy in family court or even domestic violence is another one where women get an upper hand in terms of the judicial system. You don't, just because a man is on the other side don't mean you should be okay with it. I mean,
I'm not. I'm saying that if we don't want women to get a special dispensation in family court, the ERA needs to pass, and then women wouldn't have that anymore. That's what you aren't hearing.
I hear it, but I don't think it had. I don't think
Don't look that up too, because we don't have rights in other areas. So because women give birth to those children, they give us a special dispensation in family court.
Okay, I hear what you're saying.
But look, when a woman sues a man to make as much money, she don't do so well, does she?
Yeah, I can't agree with it.
Special dispensation for that because there's not gender equality.
Okay, I hear what you're saying, but I hear what you're saying, but I vehemently disagree. I don't think that any excuse should be used to deny a parent their rights with their child. I get your point that women don't have rights in other areas, or
okay,
men.
Wait, you just said if a man hurts a woman, that's a dispensation. Don't you think the judge thinks if he hurts that woman, he might hurt that child? Now let's be realistic.
I don't think you heard what I said. I don't think you heard what I said. Fact is, you could go out in public and take all sort. If I was in public, okay, I'm 6'6", 300 pounds. I don't know what size you are, but if I started getting violent with you in public, other men would jump in and stop it, potentially even beat the hell out of me. If you got violent with me in public, a lot of women would laugh.
Men hitting women in New York, and it's become such a problem. Strange men walking up, punching women in the face, that it's become such a problem that it's on the crime watch.
I still don't think you get what I'm saying. Fact is,
I do, but you're not hearing what I'm saying, Tim.
I am.
I get it. I get that you feel that women get special privilege. But what I'm trying to tell you is I'm trying to end that privilege for you, Tim. That's why the ERA needs to be passed. Women will no longer get special dispensation in family court if women have equal rights.
Okay, and by the way, Gen Xer in the comments stated, and this is why women should not be able to vote.
Well, you also read your comments that told you that the courts now promote 50-50 custody.
It's come around. It's starting to come around.
Changing, even though women didn't get their rights. So they're still giving y'all more power without giving women's rights. So think about that, Tim. You're still getting what you want without giving women a damn thing.
I don't know if
How's that for understanding?
Well, it's a lengthy debate on where women, are.
And I don't see a crime wave of women attacking men out of the blue like we did.
Are you crazy? Wait a minute. You can turn on damn near any soap opera, any sitcom, and see women when the guy says something wrong, smack him in the face. You don't see that? You don't see men getting hit in just about any sitcom.
Where are all the cases on the crime blogs? Like, go look them up. Where are all these cases? You're talking about sitcom and fantasy world. I'm talking about New York City. They're running around hitting women in the face for no reason other than they hate us. That's a hate crime, Tim.
I'm going to go back to
understand that it's different. It's same as being it's just like any other marginalized group. Yeah. Women are oppressed.
Yeah, I gotta be totally honest. I disagree. Hope Solo, the U.S. soccer team, women strike men all the time. Women strike men all the time, and they don't get punished.
Are we going to start staying home so women can work if they have babies? Is that going to happen? Are y'all going to start cleaning the damn house?
I don't think that pertains to domestic violence, though, Andy.
But it does. Like, they did a survey that women do $162,000 worth a year of work more around the house than men. There's studies for that, Tim. Just because you're a male, you can be sexist if you want to, but I don't care. That's the thing.
Why are women charging for the work they do around the house? When the guy goes out and cut, wait, hold on, Andy, you gotta let me get away. Andy, we gotta have a conversation. When the guy goes out and cuts the grass, is he supposed to charge his wife for that?
No, they took all the chores and lined them up and took the equality of them and then took those chores that the women had left more than the men and took a monetary value and placed it on it.
Oh my,
women aren't doing that. That's what the study did. That's what I was pushing back on. We didn't do that. A study did that.
Okay. I don't.
I'll send you the study.
Okay, I'm sure you will. I'll read it. I will read it. I got to move it on.
List of homework for today. I will be seated you all, and I expect you. If you're gonna push back this order on me, I expect you to watch it.
I promise you I will. I promise you I will. Andy, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Thank you. Andy tore me a new one today. Naeem Barber says Trump wants the world to be a Wes Anderson film. I'm not familiar with Wes Anderson films or how you'd have to state that. Welcome to the friend of the program, Mandy's Candy. Thank you, Mandy. So I don't know, and I see in the comments Van Hohenheim, if I'm pronouncing that right, says, yeah, take that, Tim. Me and Andy typically agree on a lot of things, but I do disagree that domestic violence and things like that are not biased in favor of women. Like I said, I'm 6'6", 300 pounds. A woman could beat the hell out of me in public before anybody says anything. I'd have to be really bleeding or something like that before other folks try to jump in or do anything about it. Some folks may pick up the phone and dial the police if it got to be too graphic. But with women, you could be threatening a woman and people will jump in and stop it. I think, what is the guy's name? What Would You Do? John Quiones on ABC. He done a special on it and was able to show, when women are the subject of violence, perpetrating violence on a man, the public doesn't respond the same. And I would submit to you, the courts don't respond the same either. In fact, we have a statement. A woman can't hurt a man or something. People come up with like, what the hell? If Ronda Rousey hits you in the face, I don't give a damn how big you are. It will hurt. The idea that a woman can't hurt a man is insane, but that is a common phrase. So we disagreed on that, but me and Andy don't normally rub heads as much. But going back to the box, we'll keep it moving. I had tried to bring up DJ Julio. We're talking about Trump's being interviewed by Time magazine and suggesting that America has become anti-white, that we're now discriminating against white people. DJ Julio, good afternoon.
What's happening, my man?
I just got ripped a new one. I give you the floor.
Well, I can tell you right now, I know where Gen X is coming with that last woman. Holy crap.
What did she get wrong?
First of all, women are babied most days by their men. As far as having equal rights, they should be treated equally.
True.
I don't disagree with her on that part. But, I mean, just in my 45 years, I've probably witnessed 70 different girls hit their man and their man do nothing back.
Yeah. Well, is it because men are okay taking a beating, or because they may feel the system won't have their back?
I think it's a bit of both. I mean, for me, I've had girlfriends in the past that, get angry and decide they want to slap or hit or throw things. And, I was just real clear with them. Listen, I'm not going to tolerate that. I'm not going to date you if this is the situation. I guarantee you, though, if you ball up your fist like a man, I'm going to treat you like a man. I'm going to hit you once. And I've never in my life hit a woman, still, to this day. Yeah.
The reason why I was mentioning it is there, you watch these clips on YouTube or clips on social media, these World Star and things like that. When a woman is beating the hell out of a guy and folks are standing around going ooh and ah, and you're getting your butt kicked by a girl, the minute he hits her back, folks are like, you need to call the police and press charges. Like, you didn't see him getting attacked. It's gotten to the point where a lot of folks don't even believe a man should have the right to defend himself against a woman. He should block, duck, dodge, or run. That should be his only options. Perpetrating violence in return to what she's doing should not even be allowed. So I don't know if I could agree with her on that.
Yeah, see, and I don't agree on it either. I mean, I've told you, I raised 3 girls. They all know you put your hands on a man, there's a 60% chance you're going to get hit back. Be ready for that. So just don't do it.
Yeah. And by the way, 6'6", good Lord, fee, 5'4", fun motherfucker. I see you, Gen X. Comment on Gen. So what do you think about anti-white? Has America become anti-white?
Oh, God. To an extent, yeah. I mean, it's
elaborate. How so?
Well, the white part of me says it's my fault for everything that anybody around me is suffering from because, well, we get blamed for it all.
Yeah.
If a black man in my community doesn't get the same job I have, it's because of racism. Well, that's not the truth. He just wasn't good at his job.
So you don't believe employment discrimination against minorities is something that happens in today's era? I mean, it's something of yesteryear?
No, I think it's of yesteryear, and I think nowadays, here's what one of the words I wanted to say is entitled. Nobody is entitled to anything but breath, and even then, God will take that from you.
Wow.
You're not. Nobody is. If you want it, you work for it. If you don't work for it, you don't get it. And I think that's just the way it should be.
So do you support getting rid of affirmative action?
Absolutely.
Do you think affirmative action was ever needed?
I don't. I benefited from it, but I don't.
Okay. Let me present it to you this way, because I vehemently disagree, and I'll tell you why I disagree. I believe the way our country was set up is you know the game Monopoly, where you go around the board, they give you $200, you can buy property and things like that. I believe the way our country was originally set up, where once we defeated the Native Americans, we gave property, for the most part, free to white people. Blacks had no say-so in it. Blacks, minorities, women had no say-so in elections and things like that. For at least 100 years or more. I think women got the right to vote in 1920. So that means that means whites, rather, were allowed to vote well over 100 years before. In my opinion, mentioned in the game of Monopoly, it's like letting the white people go around the board about 20, 30 times. They're collecting $200 every time they pass go. They're allowed to buy all the properties up. And on the 21st time, you tell the minorities and women, now we can all go around the board, and there is no affirmative action. How can you possibly ever catch up? When they've went around 20 times, bought all the properties, they got a bank account that is significantly larger, and you're saying affirmative action, which the bank would give them a certain amount of money to catch up with all the times they went past go and collected all that money when the other person couldn't move. You don't think that they should equal that out?
So I don't think that's so much affirmative action as it would be called reparations. I think that's more of a reparation situation.
But you're against that too. But they're against that too.
Well, see, it's a hard subject because I can understand where someone might be coming from, you know, saying that my ancestors had an unfair shake. I have a real hard time with anybody between the ages of 18 and 45 today saying my life is hard because my ancestors' life was hard. What that tells me is that you just never learned how to work hard enough.
Yeah, but you do realize a hell of a lot of folks in that age category you just stated, between 18 and 45, actually have a lot of a head start on life because of things their ancestors did for them. Whereas
okay, so let me just play this. Let me play this devil's advocate for you. You know where South Dakota is?
Yes. With the dog killing governor? Yeah, I know where that's at.
Hell yeah! You put that damn dog down, it's gonna end up biting someone.
A puppy? A puppy?
Man, listen. It's an animal. 100%, it's an animal. Do I agree with her? No. Does she have the right to make that decision on her own property with her own animals? Absolutely.
She shot a puppy in the head. You can't give it back to the kennel?
The puppy wasn't like, how old was it? I think it was like a year and a half.
No, it was like some months. It was pretty damn young. I mean, I don't know. You believe it's okay if the dog is a little bit aggressive to murder it?
Well, you know, in the animal kingdom, when the animal is foul and not meant for its tribe, yeah, the freaking tribe kills it.
That's cold-blooded, man. That's coldblooded.
Life is a cold-blooded situation.
All right, I don't know.
What I was going to say, what I was getting with the South Dakota and the thing, you know where Wounded Knee is?
No, I don't know exactly where it's at.
Okay, so it's just north of my house, about an hour and a half.
Okay. Are you anywhere near Rapid City? Because that's
the point that I'm making. The point that I'm making is I'm Native American enrolled in the Sisseton Wahpeton Sioux tribe. I grew up in the land of the last stand for the Native Americans.
Okay.
I grew up here, so my ancestors were caught up in some kind of a shit situation where they ended up got put in their own dog kennels called reservations, And if I believed for 1 second that I was entitled to a second chance by the government because of what they did to my ancestors, I wouldn't own 2 businesses right now. I wouldn't own 2 homes right now. I got my homes because I work hard for it. I got my homes because...
That's fine. To me, it sound you almost sound like an individual that was wrongly in prison for a number of years, got out of prison, got educated, and made something of himself, saying, I don't blame the justice system because I was able to accomplish something. You actually succeeded in spite of what they did. Nevertheless, they did do something, though. You just found a way to... Go ahead.
Because I didn't feel entitled, Tim. I don't feel like I'm entitled to anything. That was my ancestors. My dad didn't do anything that was wrong. My white mom didn't do anything that was wrong.
Here's what I don't understand, though. There are plenty of folks that are alive today that have inheritances and legacies from that era where a lot of other races and genders did not have access to. If you're someone of today where you can trace back maybe a house or a farm or some property that's in your possession due to your great-grandfather or whatever, leaving it down the family, knowing that black people did not have the same ability to do so, how is that not suggesting that you have a one-up on society?
Well, it's no different than somebody that went to the gym and is working out harder than me. Same size, same weight.
Okay. All right. I don't know if I agree with that at all.
I really disagree with it because here's what it comes down to, Tim, is everybody is so freaking stuck in the past. If you want to stay in the past, stay in the past. That's where you're going to live your whole life. Everything that you do in your life is going to be centered around what you didn't get because of your ancestors. If you live that life, I'm talking to everybody that I've been reading in the comments. If you live your life like you are owed something, you will get nothing.
So how do you feel when you see folks waving the Confederate flag around? Do you look at them and say they're stuck in the past?
No, I look at them and look at that person exercising his free right.
But it's a symbol from the past.
Well, it's a symbol but so is the American flag. I mean, if we want to let's talk apples to apples. Apples to apples. Did you or any of your great or great-great-grandparents endure slavery?
Yeah. No, not me, okay. But my great-great-grandmother was in that era. I know my grandmother talks about, the generation before her being sharecroppers, and sharecroppers are exactly what happened. Basically, a sharecropper is really still a slave that hasn't left the plantation. So it's great-grandmother and beyond was in slavery.
Okay, so my great-great-grandfather was scalped, beheaded, all for the land we call South Dakota, North Dakota, Wyoming, Montana.
Okay.
Am I going to sit back and go, man, I know one of you suckers are related to Custer, it's your fault. Oh, I'm so bad because I had teepees before you built brick homes, and now you took all my land, you took my Black Hills, and you put me on a reservation where I didn't have to pay any government tax. I got free medical, dental. You can live free.
So based on what you're saying, allowing Native Americans to have casinos or sell tobacco tax-free, you're basically saying they shouldn't be given that.
I'm basically saying they've gotten enough. Life happens. That is the course of life.
So what have blacks gotten? What have blacks gotten?
Well, I mean, because I'm part that too. I guess if it was Africa we were talking about, it'd be a different story.
What have blacks in this country? Wait, hold on. You're admitting that Native Americans have gotten too much. What have blacks in this country received then?
Well, scholarships after scholarship after scholarship.
Everybody can get that. Everybody can get that.
Basketball player after basketball player. Come on. Look at all of this is what I'm talking about. If you look at all of the major sports, it is predominantly melanin positive.
Well, you know why that is, don't you? When you take the biggest slave on your plantation that can do the most amount of work, and you deliberately go pick those out and make sure you breed those, you breed the big guys like me, so that I make more big guys, that leads to a bunch of black athletes. That's where that came from. We were bred to be bigger.
So what you're saying is the white man wanted you guys to be entertainment, and the white men to be business owners. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah, something like that.
Shit, y'all all are. Listen, I love everybody equally. Okay, I do. I really, in my person, I love everybody equally. But for the sake of the conversation, I like to get a little bit controversial.
You're doing a good job today.
I try.
Yeah, you're succeeding. You're succeeding.
I'm sitting in Leeds, South Dakota, the home of the gold rush. You know.
I gotta move it on, Julio, but I'll tell you this: I don't think a lot of Native Americans would agree with what you're saying, that they gotten too much.
Well, no, because they got their hands out.
Okay. Wow. Okay, wait a minute.
I want you to come and visit me. I'm going to take you around South Dakota, and I'm going to show you what the difference is between giving them extra, giving them the property. They didn't do us any favors. But
hold on a second. If you're saying that these groups have their hands out, what do you view the not Native Americans, but the founding fathers, the colonial white man in this country getting all this free land and stuff? Did the white man have his hands out? Because most of the stuff they got was free.
Well, yeah, they had their hands out with the gun on the end of it. Listen, they took it. That happened. Okay. Now, I can choose to live there. I can choose to live.
They didn't all take it, Julio. They didn't all take it. Once we defeated the Native Americans, they were giving land to white people. All them white folks didn't take it. It was gated them for free. Not to mention the privilege back in those days that they had over everybody else in terms of rights and things like that. They didn't all fight and earn it. It was given to them. You knew as a white child growing up, you had more privileges than everybody else. You didn't fight for that. You had those privileges at age 5.
100%. They were trying to whitewash the country. They did a good job of it.
Okay, so they were getting handouts.
The country.
They were getting handouts.
Native Americans were, and so were the whites back then. Okay. Yes, yeah, they got handed out their land.
All right, fair enough. I got to move it on, Julio.
What's the difference between the Native Americans getting handed out and the whites getting handed out?
Big difference. Half of the damn population has been killed off. Huge difference.
Right.
You're missing all kinds of people. I mean, half of y'all dead because of what happened. I got to move it on, though, Julio. You the Native American. I'm the black guy, so you know. Appreciate it. Thank you for your generosity, as always. All right.
Always.
Yeah, appreciate it. Julio always makes for a very interesting call. I don't think we agreed on much on that call, but he's always welcome on the program. Looking in the comment section. Somebody says DJ Julio Tomatoes. You guys got to be nice. Be nice to my callers. Old girl, thank you for the heart. Native Americans owned this land before Pilgrims and Now America gave them land. Yeah, that is how it looks. We did, we came over and took all your shit and gave you, a few spots in the corner. You better be lucky we gave you that, because they could have murdered them all. I get the point. I get the, I tend to believe that Israel will one day be saying that to the Palestinians as well. You're lucky we gave you this little area to be in, kind of like Gaza. And Gaza probably will get smaller after that conflict is over with. Pep says that's exactly how it is. Yeah, well, Native American. That was interesting. That was an interesting point of view from someone who is Native American. Dosix, thanks you for the bullseye. Yes, blacks are behind, but we have the opportunity to get ahead now. That is true, Pink Glitter. But as I stated, the system was set up so that when everybody got civil rights, one group was significantly ahead of everybody else simply because they had civil rights for so damn long. I don't know how you could say that we didn't need affirmative action ever. That was interesting to me. That was interesting. Going back to the box, though, we're talking about President Trump and his interview with Time Magazine suggesting that the country has become anti-white and that he would stop it. The country is now being discriminatory towards white people. And if we put him in office, he could certainly stop that. I want to bring on the next guest. Be curious to see what you folks have to say about that. Chris Spot, good afternoon. Welcome to the program. An anti-white sentiment in this country that we need to put President Trump back in office to correct. Chris, what say you? Chris Spot looks like he took a call or something. We'll move it on. David Moore says being indigenous he has free cool. I don't quite get your comment there, Davis. Being indigenous, he has free cool. Yeah, I don't get what you're saying there. Well, I'm anti-white, so maybe it is becoming, says Mandy's Candy. You're anti-white. Why would you be anti-white, Mandy? Why would you be anti-white? I'd be curious. Mandy is certainly a friend of the program. Yes, blacks are, wait a minute. And yet Trump and the governor were allowed to trespass on Sioux land during the coronavirus. Is that true? I think I do remember that being a big story. Let me continue moving the program on with Nicholas writing. Good afternoon, Nicholas. Also, being able to track a woman while she's pregnant came up in that interview. Nicholas, good afternoon. Nicholas, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, can you hear me? You got a loud background.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, so what do you think? Is there an anti-white sentiment in this country?
Yeah, there is.
Explain.
Absolutely.
Elaborate.
So Tim, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm married to a black woman. I have racial kids. Racist is brought up in the house. And that's facts.
True.
I don't care what anybody says. Nobody wakes up and says, I'm going to be racist today. It's not. It don't happen like that. It's brought up in your home. And when it's brought up in your home, it's ugly.
Okay.
It's the bottom line. It really is.
Is it now with you having an African American wife and biracial children, is the anti-white sentiment being taught in your home?
Not necessarily.
What the hell does that mean? You're a white man in that house. Are you seeing anti-white?
I'm not understanding your question, Tim.
Okay.
I'm not understanding what you're saying. Say that again.
You said you said racism is brought up in the home. Is any of that in your home?
Oh, no, absolutely not. I wouldn't be married to a black woman and have biracial kids. Absolutely not. I misunderstood what you said. I apologize.
Fair enough. So how do you see this country?
This is the first time I'm on your show. I've been watching you the past couple days. I'm a mailman out in Leola, PA, and I love your show.
Thank you.
I gotta be honest with you, bro.
I'm
hooked. I love it. I love the content. I love people calling, all different aspects of life call up. Everybody has their own opinion about things.
I appreciate that. It's an honor talking to you. So tell me, what do you see in Pennsylvania to suggest that American is starting to be biased toward white people? What are you seeing out there?
I don't see that.
You just said you did.
No. I misunderstood what you said, Tim.
Okay.
I said I misunderstood what you said.
All
You
right.
asked me if I have it in my house.
Okay.
Absolutely not in my home.
Okay, so do you think America is starting to be biased toward white people?
I can't answer that one. I'll be honest with you. I really can't. That's a touchy situation. I'll be honest with you, Tim. It's a touchy situation.
Okay.
This is the first time I'm calling up on your show. I'm super nervous that you just called my name out. I'm a little over the place right now, so just bear with me, brother.
All right, let me take you to the other, because I see you're a little. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You're doing fine. What about the notion that President Trump was asked during this interview if states should or could monitor women that are pregnant, and he said, I think they might just do that. Again, you'll have to speak to individual states. How do you feel about the states potentially exercising their right to monitor a woman when she's pregnant so that they can prosecute her if she has an abortion or something of that nature, and a presidential contender seemingly having no problem with that?
I personally see a problem with it.
What kind of problem do you see? What's wrong with it?
Well, I mean, it's the woman's body. She has the right to have the baby or not have the baby. It should be up to her. It shouldn't be going on to all this that we're talking about with the politics stuff. I think women should be left alone. If she wants to have that baby, she has the baby. And if she don't, that's her own decision.
Now, do you lean right or left politically?
Republican.
Are you MAGA?
No.
Okay.
Absolutely not 100%.
Why?
I can't be MAGA. I definitely ain't, but I am definitely Republican.
Okay, will you vote for Trump then?
Absolutely, because Biden is messing up everything.
Okay, in 2020, Biden versus Trump, before Biden was in office, who did you vote for?
Say that one more time. I'm sorry, Tim.
In our last national election, Biden versus
Yes.
Trump, before Biden was president, who did you vote for?
I've been Republican all my life.
So you voted for Trump. You're voting for Trump all 3 times.
Yes, correct.
Okay, but you're not MAGA. Do you think Trump is doing a good job, or are you voting for him simply because Biden sucks to you?
No, I want it back to where it used to be. The Democrats are ruining everything. You know, I'm not trying to sit up here and put them on a pedestal. They fucked everything up. Them. You want me to be honest with you? Joe Biden fucked everything up.
Give me some. I'm just curious because you got a black woman at home. Is she voting for Trump
she's
too?
Democrat. She's Democrat.
Damn right she is. So. Damn right she is. I bet she don't want to hear her husband on here right now. But let me ask you this. You just said you don't favor all of these abortion laws. You are voting for that.
I'd rather, Tim, to be honest with you, on the point of view with the abortion laws, I think that should be left up to the woman.
Okay, but you're voting against that. You're voting for the party that wants to take it away from the woman.
I could hear you. Yeah, I think that's a tough. I honestly, Tim, I don't know what to say on that. I really don't. I'm going to be honest with you, brother. Right. I really don't.
All right. So, so you are pro-choice though, but you do believe Trump. Times were better under Trump. What do you think about Trump's presidency?
Yeah, it was better. Everybody and their mother can admit it was better when Trump was around. Inflation, Tim, I work a good job. I work at the post office. I have a great job. I just got this career job 2 years ago. I never had a career job where I paid into Social Security or that. I was all over the place growing up in life, to be honest with you. But now, the way it is now, we can't even survive with prices right now. The way I go to work, my wife goes to work. We both work. We both kicking our money together. And we're not living like we just was in 2020. I'll tell you that much.
Well, we had a pandemic going on in 2020, though, Nicholas. Let me ask you this.
Correct.
In your opinion,
yes, we did have to pay.
So let me get your opinion on something. In your opinion, what happened on January 6th?
What happened? I mean, a bunch of people listened to the man and they went and fought for him. I guess they thought he got robbed from an election.
Who do you
They're all saying they didn't hear about it. I personally think he got robbed. Yes, I do.
So you believe that the 2020 election was a robbery from Trump? You believe he won the last election?
Oh, yeah, 100%, Tim. 100% robbery. They didn't want him in office no more. It was that easy. They didn't want him in there. They didn't like it. Everything was good then. We could live a good life. Everything was affordable. Gasoline, Tim, is $3.59, $3. That's ridiculous. Prices should never be that high.
So
to live life.
So when you say they robbed him in 2020, you do realize he was in control of the country at the time.
Oh, yeah, he was. But, you know, the Democrats had something up their sleeve, I feel like, Tim, and they made things happen, you know, and to be honest with you, Tim, Democrats really, really fucked up our country.
So
people can say what they want, but nobody's going to be honest. I'm going to come out on that and be honest as I could be. They fucked up the country.
What did the Democrats do, in your opinion, to fuck up the country?
What did they do, Tim?
Yeah.
In my opinion, you want me to be honest with you?
I wouldn't have you on for any other reason.
All right, I'm gonna give it to you. I'm gonna give it to you raw and straight. All right, and it is what it is. If people don't like it, it is what it is. Here's what I get out of it, Tim. They let a lot of things when Trump was in office, shit like this wasn't going on.
Like
a
what?
lot of shit that's going on right now with the wars, with us sending money to Ukraine and all that shit wasn't going on. Trump wouldn't allow it.
Yeah. So
he would have never allowed that.
You believe that the quality of life for the typical American is affected by money going to Ukraine? You think that's affecting our lives?
I think the American people should be first, Tim. That's where I'm getting at. You know, the American people should be first. We should always be first. Why are we putting other countries ahead of us?
Okay. So when Trump was in office, there was no money going to the Ukraine. What was Trump doing for us, as you say, when he had the money in his possession and it wasn't going to the Ukraine? Give me some examples of what he was doing for the people.
He was keeping it here. The jobs were up. Everything, prices were normal. You were able to live life a little better.
But that
Today,
wasn't...
we can't even live.
Yeah, but the money going to the Ukraine, whether we send it or keep it, doesn't affect any of the stuff you're talking about. Prices don't change.
Taxes from our taxes. You know, our hard-paying tax money is going to the wrong places. It ain't going to the right places right now. Just not.
Okay. Give me another example. What other than the money to the Ukraine, what else?
Okay, so do you see all the shit that's going down, you know, with the Democrats, with all the riots and all that, Tim, when all that shit was going on, Tim? The Democrats are sparking that. That's 100%. If anybody's going to come on your show and say something different, they're a liar.
What about
they don't want to...
So how would you respond to someone like myself who might suggest, as opposed to, oh, damn, they removed my last caller. Now, I don't know if it's folks in the comments complaining, but I do like to let people speak. I wanted to talk to them further, folks. I don't know if TikTok did it or some of you folks, but you know I don't block, ban, or censor anyone. I wanted to talk to the guy. Nicholas, I think his name was. You're always welcome back on the program. Feel free to come on back through. That was our first time talking, I believe the gentleman stated. So you are welcome back anytime. We'll move it on. Some folks... You know, a controversial opinion or something of that nature is more than some like to hear. 600, hit that like, it matters. And by the way, folks, certainly on YouTube, yeah, smash that like button. It certainly does help out the algorithm. This is an uncensored broadcast. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone. We go left of Bernie Sanders to I'm having dinner with QAnon. You don't have to agree with anyone in the comment section or even yours truly. When we say free speech, we absolutely mean it. By the way, if you do enjoy civilized dialogue between both sides of the aisle, and others, by the way, we let everybody speak. If that's what you enjoy, feel free to follow the program on TikTok. A subscription on YouTube, if you will. Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Central is where you'll find us. We're here every day, Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Central. Looking in the comments, Anya says, hello, I'm from England. Wow. Very nice. Very good to have you here on YouTube. And by the way, we are simultaneously on both TikTok and YouTube, the Handsome Liberal. Looking in the comments, we'll continue moving on with the program. Big Rooster Show asking that question, an anti-white sentiment in America. Is that what we're dealing with? According to President Trump, he needs to do something about it even. Big Rooster Show, welcome back.
Jim, what's happening, my brother?
I don't know, but it appears that white people ain't getting a fair shake in our great nation. What say you?
Hey, listen. I really think Julio is like talking on his white side because he said his mom was white. I don't think he's really speaking for the Native Americans. He's always up here telling us how his businesses are and this and that and how he's so successful and all of that. But yet and still, he's still got things to complain about. Yeah. I don't understand that. But that last caller, yeah, he should have never came up. He was too scared to say anything, for one.
He spoke. He spoke. We listened him up. He spoke.
No, I get it. But I'm saying if you're scared to come up and talk, say what you got to say, don't come up at all. We want to hear what you got to say. And most of the shit he said was garbage. You notice how he danced around every example you asked him to give you. He danced around it. Well, you really want my opinion? Well, damn, he just asked you that, sir.
Well, be nice to the guests. Listen, for some folks, it does take some easing. I don't want to turn anybody away. I believe you should have free speech.
All right.
If it is, listen, it's a little challenging to some, but we make it work. I'm not going to ban anyone, so folks do need to understand when you come up, you can speak freely.
I don't want you to ban them, Tim. I keep telling you, I love people coming up and making fools of themselves. I really do. I want you to keep them coming. Keep them coming.
I'll see what I can do. I'll see what I can do. So what do you think?
Listen.
Go ahead.
So if white people are being discriminated against, I'd like to see that. You know what I'm saying? Because I haven't seen it yet.
Well,
white people aren't getting their asses kicked by the police as much as black people are.
Well, they're going to bring up, I can give you a few things they'll bring up. Certainly, Black History Month. Why don't the white people have a White History Month?
Shit. Wait a minute, man. Black History Month? How many white people do you see running around saying anything about blacks? They don't give blacks the credit that they deserve. They don't give our refrigerators. Everybody has a refrigerator because of a black person. You hear him saying, "Oh, thank God that black guy invented the refrigerator." You don't hear him saying that.
No.
So
what about the notion? What about the notion that blacks have a BET, Black Entertainment Channel? What if a white person had a white entertainment channel? It wouldn't fly.
Hey, listen. That's the good thing about America. You can name your corporation whatever you like to name it. If you want to name it White Entertainment Television, you have the right to do that. Don't complain because some black guy started a channel saying Black Entertainment Television that's now owned by white corporations. Yeah. It isn't even owned by a black person anymore. So what are you complaining about?
I'm hearing that in 2024, blacks and minorities have a higher preference when going to higher learning institutions where they actually will give, or better yet, bend the rules, bend the requirements for black people.
Okay, well, ask Junebug and Shaquay if they got in over some smart white kid with a bunch of money. I just want to let's please, Junebug, if you're in the chat, come up, talk to the handsome liberal, and tell him how you got rejected because some rich white kid had enough money to go to school that his mother and father can be a booster.
I'm hearing Felicity Huffman in your conversation. I get what you're saying.
Hey, that's all I'm saying, Tim. White people are not being discriminated against. I think what it is a lot of white people have been awakened to white privilege. And they see it. And now that there's a lot of white people speaking against it, now the white people that are used to having those privileges are getting upset because their own race is saying, hey, these black people aren't lying. They're telling the truth.
Wow. Now, on YouTube, we're on simultaneously on both. Name Barbara, thank you for the super chat.
Hold on, before you say that, hold on. I wish I was over there because, I really like the fucking Gen Xer needs, his mother should have learned how to swallow. That's what I'm going to say about Gen Xer.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Okay, go right ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, my God. Naeem Barber, thank you for the super chat, by the way, says there was a show called The Whitest Kids You Know. Have you heard of that?
Never heard of that.
I haven't either. I'm kind of wondering I'm wondering what would the potato salad taste like in that show, but I've never heard of that.
Who made the potato salad?
Yeah.
Who made it?
Yeah, but remember Woody Harrelson and Wesley Snipes, what's it called? White Men Can't Jump. Could you have a movie called Black Men Can't Do Something?
White Men Can't Jump.
Yeah. Is that not racist?
Hey, Tim, listen to this, though. Listen to this one, Tim. Not only that, do you know who was the better basketball player in that movie?
It wasn't Woody Harrelson.
Yes, it was.
Oh.
Harrelson plays basketball with brothers every weekend.
Yeah, but he was losing.
They had to teach the Wesley how to play basketball.
I don't remember him being the best. He was losing money. He was gambling all their money away.
No, I'm saying in real life, Woody Harrelson is the better basketball player. Wesley had to learn all that shit he learned. Wesley ain't no fucking basketball player.
Yeah. Well, you've been corrected. Friend of the program, you mentioned Gen X, the one who you said his mom should have learned how to swallow. He's commenting. He stated in 1805, an American inventor, a white guy named Oliver Evans, designed a blueprint for the first refrigerator machine. The white man invented the refrigerator. What say you?
That's his version. Tell him that's because they're not giving the black man credit. Didn't I say that in the beginning?
That did
They're
happen.
Give the black man credit. What about that successful surgery that the black man did on the kid?
Yeah.
They'll say the white man did that.
Well, we do know for a fact that they were silencing. They were silenced. I mean, even the Tuskegee Airmen, all that stuff, they were silencing the accomplishments of black people. We do know that.
Yes, sir.
So I will say this: it's difficult to believe anything coming out of the 1800s because they weren't being honest about what was going on. So,
hey, listen, everything out of the 1800s was done by a white man.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah. So what do you think about the other topic where Trump is saying it might be okay for the states to track women that are pregnant?
And, Tim, the crazy thing about it is it's never okay to track anyone unless they're a felon on the run. That's when you track people. When you pry into people's lives, that's what's wrong with our government. And the funny thing about it is Republicans are saying that they don't want to pry into your lives. Well, what is that?
Yeah.
If Trump doesn't have any pushback about that, what does that say to his base?
You know, speaking of that, Republicans not wanting to track in your life. That's what I said at the beginning of the program, where you could go out and buy a whole cache of AR-15s and unlimited ammunition, and nobody wants you to be tracked in what you're doing to those guns. But if you get pregnant, it's okay to track you. That didn't make sense to me.
That doesn't make one bit of sense.
Yeah,
I can go out and buy whatever, however much ammo I want, and nobody wants to. Hey, don't worry about it, no problem. But the minute I get a broad pregnant, we're gonna put a tracker up her ass.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
And there she go over to the next state and get an abortion. And there I drive her over to the next state to get an abortion.
Yeah. It looks like they are trying to. Yeah, it looks like the states that are pro-life are trying to ban abortion for their citizens anywhere in America. They're going to make it so that leaving that state to have an abortion is also a crime. I don't think they want to say it out loud, like one of my earlier callers stated, is that he actually came out and admitted he supports Trump, but they shouldn't be saying it. But Big Rooster, you know what I got to do. Appreciate you coming.
Listen,
real quick.
I just want to say this. Republicans, MAGA Republicans really need to wake up and realize the truth. They always say that liberals don't want to hear the truth. But the truth is, you guys don't want to hear the truth. As simple as that.
What is the truth?
That's all I got to say.
What is the truth they don't want to hear?
The truth is, Donald Trump hasn't did shit for this country like they say he has.
Wow.
That's the truth.
All right. Appreciate it, Big Rooster. Always come on back anytime. Thank you.
Appreciate you, brother. Keep doing what you do. Keep teaching, man. You know what I'm saying, Tim? People look at this as if they're not. This is a lesson to everyone.
Well, to some degree, I'm being taught as well. But I do appreciate you coming through.
Exactly. You said it the other day. You said that. You let people know that you don't know everything. So we're all being taught. Keep teaching, but more importantly, keep teaching these dumbass MAGAs. And I'm out, Tim.
All right, Rooster. All right. Wow. Gen X states my last caller just changed his mind on abortion, and he views my last caller as a moron. I get a lot of you guys are harsh with each other. Big Rooster and Gen X. I consider both of you folks as friends of the show, but clearly you have opposing opinions. But what do I always say? You're entitled to your opinion. It will never be censored, blocked, banned, or limited here because we're all about free speech. I make it clear you don't even get the Second Amendment without the First. I believe that is the reason why it is our First Amendment in the Bill of Rights. I do believe free speech is very important. Looking in the comments, though, this is spreading hate, says Anya for statewide. You're suggesting that this program, I assume, or my last caller, Star Trek fan. Yeah, thank you for the hat and mustache. I always love my hat and mustaches. Thank you. Got your boy looking real Hispanic. Appreciate it. I would be so embarrassed if I was black. I'm sorry. Wow. Erstark, you telling me that Tim Scott should be embarrassed? Why should blacks be embarrassed? Yikes. I'd be curious to hear your elaboration on that. Why should blacks be embarrassed for being black? You look at the history of black people, the history of white people, only blacks should be embarrassed. And that's interesting. Oh my fucking God, Tim, you letting callers with mental illness in, says free my grandma on YouTube. I'm no one to diagnose. I can't say. Both sides are dumb, but I didn't know states were trying that. But tracking, no. But if a state says illegal, I get it. Change the state you live in. You're not getting real quick before we go back to the box. You don't always get the ability to change the state. Keep in mind, these states that have these strict abortion laws, it's not the will of the people in that state. It's actually going against the will of the people in those states. The states that get a chance to actually vote on abortion go against what their leadership is doing. So for folks saying, well, if you don't like a tough abortion law in your state, then change your state, it shouldn't be there without the will of the people saying they want it. It shouldn't be there in the first place. If you can't get these strict abortion laws through by having a vote of the people that are locally in your state, that speaks volumes about what you want to do to the people themselves. You're not even giving them a say-so. You're promoting what you believe should be done onto the people themselves. Folks say, well, giving it back to the states is not taking away women's rights. Yeah, you are. You're taking away women's rights in that state. If you ask the women of Alabama, the women of Kansas, which is seeing what happened, the women of Ohio, which is seeing what happened. If you ask the women of that state how they feel about abortion, they almost overwhelmingly would vote in favor of having some ability to choose. So you're not giving the rights back to the state because the people in that state don't want it. I think we're pretty clear on that. The people in those states don't want those laws. They're just not getting the ability to vote on them. And by the way, the states that do, or the states that where it may be coming up for a vote, are trying to prevent it from being on the ballot because they know if it's on the ballot, the people are going to vote against it. That's not states' rights. That's a smaller dictatorship. It's just that state government imposing rights on the people that they don't want, or laws on the people they don't want. Looking in the comments, taxation without representation. Common phrase, something like that, going back to the box. Continuing on with Gerald MC. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program, Gerald. An anti-white sentiment. Tap the screen, folks, by the way. 70,000 is certainly possible. Over 500 of you still remain on the backup profile. So tap the screen, get the likes up to 70,000. Certainly on YouTube, feel free to smash that like button. Gerald, anti-white sentiment in this country, what say you?
Nope.
Not at all.
I can't see it. I can't. I think that media is pushing a lot more of the things that white people are being accused of or are being brought aware of that happened in the past and things that happen to black people, just because of their skin color. I think it's getting a lot more visibility. So is it a cultural change? No. It's the same. It's the same mess that we always see. Yeah. I've traveled a lot, and this country is so obsessed with race. Yeah. Everything is black and white.
But is the country obsessed with race because blacks won't let the past go. Blacks are always playing victim, as some would say.
No. Here's the thing. You should. All you got to do is own up to this is what happened. It actually happened.
Yep.
Quit trying to hide it. Don't try to run from it. It freaking happened.
Yeah.
Now, did it set a whole race of people back? You know, you hear about the guy earlier talking about the Indians did this.
Yeah.
Yada, yada, yada. Okay. But they weren't treated as chattel. They weren't treated as animals and given, you know, we're giving them this. You're not giving us anything. We built this freaking place. The only thing that made America, you know, financially a powerhouse was because it had free labor.
Yeah,
you know,
that's a good point. But let me ask you this, because when we're talking about the races, this is almost like a detriment towards African Americans being suggested by Ray S on YouTube. He says that more blacks were aborted in New York City, for instance, than they were actually born. He's saying that there's some type of plan maybe against black births, you know, some type of way to keep, I'm assuming, I'm interpreting it to keep the black race down. Do you see any validity in that?
I don't have the numbers to know. You remember the last time I talked to him, a statistician, so I don't.
What if it's true though? Even though you don't have the numbers, for shits and giggles, let's say it's true that in New York, black mothers have aborted more children than they've given birth to. Do you see any type of plan or anything sinister that would be behind that?
That would be self-defecating then. Why are you doing that? That's like, I'm not, you know, I'm an abortions rights person. I think women have a right to choose. I don't believe in legislating morality when it deals with the individual. I do believe in legislating morality when my morality affects you, but not when it's me. So I can't see. That's a long-range plan. I mean, it's the same thing. If you go back, I'll make this comparison. How did we get crack in the neighborhoods in California? The CIA.
Yeah,
right.
I've heard that. Trying to fund the Contras. I have heard that.
Right. They fund the Contras. They put the stuff in, you know, into the community. Now they put it out there. We took it and ran with it. And
that actually, to some degree, that also happened with the Native Americans with alcohol.
Yeah. We gave it to them. We funded it. They ran, and we ran with it. Now, did we have enough sense not to run with it? No, because we were economically defeated. So, hey, here's a way to make some money. And I'm going to be a big-time rich guy without doing a whole lot. So here we go. I'm going to run with it, and I'm going to destroy I'm going to help fund the Contras, and I'm going to destroy a whole community. You know.
So you believe the crack epidemic was indeed a planned effort to harm the black community?
No, it was a planned effort to fund the Contras.
At the expense of
blacks. The side effect of it was it killed the community.
Yeah.
That was the side effect of it. I mean, even the guy earlier was talking about, you know, I read that book. I think there's a movie about it now. I haven't even seen the movie, but I read that book where they gave the Indians land and it happened to have oil on it. So they came back.
Right. Yep. That did happen, and they kept pushing them further. I mean, that's why when you go to a lot of Native American reservations on some pretty hostile land. I mean, I used to be an over-the-road driver, and some of the areas they live, like up near the Four Corners, or you go up, it's some of that area is like, damn, this is the worst land you could possibly. It looks like the surface of the moon on some of those places. Like,
right,
you can't do any agriculture. There's no resources and nothing. I mean, find the worst land in the country and give them that.
Right, and here you go, and then so then that moves us forward in whole generations being left behind, and people say, well, just do better by yourself. But if you've never been taught to do better, and if you don't know how to do better, and nobody in your family knows how to do better, how do you break that cycle?
Yeah,
the cycle continues. You can't break it. There's nobody to break it. Because I see it all the time with these kids. Sometimes I'm talking to these kids, and I'll see some kid. He's not only the first kid to get in the 8th grade in his family. And this is 2024.
That's crazy.
And you see it. So who's at home? For example, let's say the kid is smart. And who's at home helping him with his algebra? Who's at home helping him with his calculus? He's not going to get very far.
Yeah, but they're going to blame that on black fathers leaving the home, abandoning their families. They're going to say that's the fault of the fathers.
Even if there were black fathers in the family, they still can't help their kid with their homework. Think about it. And let's take for example, in my neighborhood. My neighborhood was not a poor neighborhood. It was a bunch of teachers in the neighborhood. There was a bunch of factory workers in the neighborhood. There's a bunch of kids in the neighborhood. But back then, teachers didn't make a lot. They still weren't. We weren't well-to-do people, right?
Okay.
But when we came home, we had educational support that a lot of my friends that live like 2 streets over didn't have.
Yeah.
They didn't have it.
That makes a huge difference. So
they never got any. I mean, and then you throw it back and, well, the education, they should have learned in school. How they gonna learn in school? They don't get the extra help. I'm speeding up. He's trying to catch up.
Yeah.
But
how do you respond? Like, for instance, in the comments, D-Town Lottie says they blame everyone except their own people. Is it a case of blacks? I mean, because, I'm from Chicago. They're shooting each other up and things like that, even in 2024. And it's like, well, the white man this and the white man that. And it's like, the white man ain't making y'all kill each other. How do you respond to folks who would say that blacks are ignoring the biggest issues in their areas to focus on the white man who's not causing this stuff?
Look, I live in Memphis. We kill somebody every day.
Damn.
Sometimes 2 a day. And I'm not joking. I got a friend that's a news reporter, and I told him, man, quit saying breaking news, somebody's shot. It's breaking news when somebody's not shot.
Wow.
It's that bad right now. And these are idiots. I mean, they are kids out there running crazy. And they're doing stupid things. And I mean, and you sit there and you listen, okay, 18-year-old shot this guy. 12-year-old shot this guy. The other day, an 18-year-old shot at a cop.
Yeah. But I gotta say this though. In my opinion, you can't blame inner city violence in 2024 on the white man. Because I'll tell you, when I came up in the 80s and 90s, we were less violent and more oppressed then than we are now. Blacks got more rights now than they had in the 80s and 90s, and we're committing more murders. So there's something else going on.
It's economic now. It's about, they see easy money, fast money. Nobody wants to work. The work ethic right now is just and it ain't just black people. The work ethic, period, is in the toilet.
Yeah.
I mean, I hire people every freaking day. And so it was so crazy about it. I actually was interviewed on Fox News, and they were talking about the economic structure of hiring and how many people. And I went through this scenario where my company offered 400 jobs, offered 400 people jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Out of the 400 people, we had 25 that showed up. Out of the 25 that showed up, we had.
What job were you offering? What was it? A minimum wage job?
Oh no, we were in the South in Tennessee. It was $18.75 to $21 an hour.
Doing what?
Driving trucks.
Wow. Okay. Well, over the road.
No. It's back home every night. It's 150-mile radius, middle mile work. It's picking up from a warehouse and delivering to the post office.
That's
pretty much it.
That's crazy. That's really poor numbers. I gotta move it on though. I gotta move it on, Jerry. I will touch on that subject. I have an opinion on that, but I do appreciate you coming on. Good talk.
Yeah, bro.
Thank you.
All right.
Moving on with the program. I will say this. I do agree, being a middle-aged man myself, an old-ass man myself, the work ethic of the younger generation is not as strong as it was when many of us came up. But I will say what I often say on the program: the reward for hard work is also not as great as it was when we were coming up. Fact is, salaries haven't moved for a long ass time. They don't make, when you adjust for the cost of inflation and things like that, people don't earn what they used to earn when we worked. And we have this belief that even though you're not earning as much, you should still go to work and give 110%. damn it, I'm not even capable of doing that. If I feel like my employer is not paying me properly, I'm not going to give them 110%. I just am not. Maybe I'm wrong for doing that. But if I feel like I'm underpaid, my performance is going to decline based on that. Maybe you'll go to work and feel like you're underpaid and continue giving 110% so you can get a better job. Maybe you will do that. But if I feel like my employer is ripping me off, it's going to be reflected in my output. I'm just simply telling you that. And I do believe, as a former landlord where I used to hire folks to do work on my apartments, I believe you get what you pay for. I do believe that if you pay people like shit, you increase the chances of that being what you hire. Now, this isn't nothing to reflect on my last caller. I don't know anything about what he paid or anything, so I'm not reflecting this on my last caller. I'm saying society in general. We pay the younger generation less than we used to. Now, I do Uber and Lyft videos on YouTube as well, talking about what's going on in the gig economy. Gig workers get treated like shit. And that's predominantly young people. There are no benefits, no concerns over their safety or anything. That didn't exist when I was going to work back in the day as a young man. We had more benefits and protections. We've actually really rolled back the rewards and benefits for hard work in America. But then we're acting baffled why the output is changing in a similar fashion. Like I said, I believe you get what you pay for. You're paying less, you're going to get less. There are places out there that pay well, and their employees tend to be pretty good damn people. But you don't expect to go to McDonald's and see a bunch of hardworking people. They are literally paying them as low as they possibly can. So I don't understand why folks don't get that if the wages continue to stay the same or even drop in some cases, it's going to affect the quality of your labor. Looking in the comments section, or better yet, going back to the box, wanted to address a super chat. By the way, David's client said Biden is definitely a reflection of his voters. True. I believe there's some validity to that. I think Trump is a reflection of his voters as well. I think that's probably valid for any politician. If you're not a reflection of your voters, they ain't gonna vote for your ass. I think that doesn't just apply to Biden, that's for anybody. And by the way, Reyes also, better yet, Reyes said more blacks, better yet, look into the views of the founder of Planned Parenthood, Margaret Sanger. They are still built primarily where black people live. Have a blessed day. In other words, Margaret Sanger, Planned Parenthood, they were deliberately putting these clinics in black areas to almost motivate, if not encourage, black people to abort their children. Well, if that is true, why is there so much resistance to blacks saying that, the system is out to get them, or systemic racism? The issue I have is you can't pick and choose when you want to agree or disagree with a point. If you're pro-life and you believe that Margaret Sanger, along with the creation of Planned Parenthood, was a ploy to set black people back by preventing them from being born, you're kind of also agreeing that the system is against black people. So if you point out Margaret Sanger, you shouldn't also appear at arguments saying that there is systemic racism and things like that don't exist, or it ended hundreds of years ago. You're using Margaret Sanger in modern times to suggest it's still happening. Like I stated, I'm just simply saying when you pick and choose how you want these things to correlate, people can hear it. People can hear it. You're literally saying the quiet part out loud. You're really confessing that systemic racism, at least in terms of allowing black people to live, is real. So you shouldn't appear on the same argument saying that systemic racism isn't real. Going back to the box, continuing on, Jonathan, good afternoon. Welcome to the program. We're asking that question. Is there an anti-white sentiment in America? President Trump stated that for the most part, the country has become biased against white people And if he's reelected, he would do something about that. What say you, Jonathan?
It's not to the level to which a lot of people say that it is. And it's really not systemic racism towards white people.
Do you think the country is biased against whites at all?
To some level, in some degree, there's organizations out there that are still prejudiced against black people as well.
Give me some examples. Give me some examples of how the country is biased against white people, though.
Well, they allow some organizations, which I do agree that they should have freedom of speech, to talk down City Hall. I live in Pennsylvania. So in City Hall in Philadelphia, there's a group of religious people that are saying stop white people and stuff like that. But that has nothing to do with systemic racism. That's personalized.
Yeah, but if a group of folks are saying stop white people, that group may be prejudiced, bigoted, or even racist. But that's just that group. I'm trying to figure out, how is the country having an anti-sentiment against whites? That is Trump's words, is that the country has become anti.
So
go ahead.
If you're referring to the entirety of the country, that would be no.
Okay.
The same thing with the entirety of the country for black people, but there is still that fear that black people are being discriminated against, even attacked just being black.
Okay. So you believe that black people are still more likely to be the victim of race? I'm trying to get what you're saying here. You believe that blacks are being victimized more still?
They still are being victimized because we still allow communities such as the KKK to still be a thing.
Okay. Now, a lot of folks I get on the program all the time point out that the Democratic Party was the party of slavery, the KKK were originally Democrats. Do you see the Democratic Party as being deeply rooted in anti-black racism?
That's hard to say because both the parties are failing both sides, and they're failing the people. We need to start seeing this as a boat, and the more hose we have, the faster we're sinking. I feel like Morgan Freeman said it best, that if we do not see race and we just see each other as Americans, that we would be more bonded by that. But however, we have to see race at a certain level and a certain standpoint. You can't forget who you come from.
Yeah. Now, he stated the best way to get rid of racism is to stop talking about it. You believe that there's some validity in that?
To a certain level, to a certain standpoint. But at the same time, we have to admit what has went on in the past. So I do agree with the user that was on before. We're saying that we can't belittle the stuff that has been done for the past. And one of the things that has been done in the past, like George Washington Carver, people only know him as the Peanut Man. They say that he only did this when he did so much more for his community.
Okay. And you are right. A lot of black contributions to society were squelched, silenced, or even stolen back in that era. We do agree on that. But what's confusing me? So in other words, you don't see Trump's statement that the country is being discriminatory towards white. You don't really see that as true then.
That is correct.
Okay.
I feel like both Trump and Joe Biden shouldn't be allowed to run for president.
Wow. Who would you favor? Who else out there? What about Kennedy? You think Kennedy's okay?
Robert Kennedy Jr. is a okay candidate. I feel like he's not the best candidate. There's also Cornel West. He's a pretty good candidate. He's very well educated and has many different degrees, and I like his talking points.
Now, you're a white man, correct?
That is correct.
I've never seen a white guy supporting Cornel. Wow. Okay, so right now, you do have an option of voting for Trump, Biden, or or Kennedy and Cornel West. Who are you likely to vote for out of those four?
If Cornel West has a higher in the polls than Robert Kennedy Jr., I will go with Cornel. If not, I'm going with Robert Kennedy.
You do know your vote is not likely to really mean much in Pennsylvania, right?
That is correct, but I can't vote for someone I have no belief in.
Wow. Give me something to believe in. Now, so you generally lean left, correct?
I don't lean anyway. I vote for what I believe is the best opportunity for me and my country.
Who did you vote for in the 2020 election, Trump versus Biden, the first time?
I didn't even vote.
Damn. Did you vote in the 2016 election, Trump versus Clinton?
That is correct. I did vote. I voted for the Liberty Party.
Shit. Okay. All right. I'm getting where you're going now. Wow. All right. Now, so you're pretty much disappointed at every election then.
The majority of elections have been very disappointed, and we haven't really had a person that really wants better for men. We're trying to get rid of Roe versus Wade and then all this, that, the third. I believe that's wrong, because if we're doing that, we're getting rid of rights. And by getting rid of rights, we're silencing a whole next generation that didn't have that chance.
So let me ask you this. When you bringing up Roe v. Wade, I'm gonna give you two scenarios, and you tell me which one is more important to you. Which one would you be more likely to do? If you knew Roe v. Wade could be overturned, like you're saying you don't favor, by the likes of a Republican or someone like Trump, but you might be able to stop it if you held your nose and voted for a candidate you don't like Trump. I mean, like Biden, rather. Would you be willing to vote for Biden if it could possibly give women pro-choice rights back federally?
Yes, because I believe that every single person needs that right. Personally, I'm pro-life on a personal level, and on a out in the world type thing, I'm pro-choice. I believe everyone should make that choice for themselves. If my girl wanted to, that's her choice. I don't have the say over her body. I would voice my opinion, but I'm not going to force.
Based on your statement there, you should be voting for Biden. I mean, it's written all over your statement. I get you don't like the guy, because I had a guy on yesterday that was MAGA, in my opinion. And I kept folks, why are you pushing him toward MAGA? I'm like, your opinion sounds that way. Your opinion sounds like you probably should be voting for Biden. If women having a right to choose is that important to you, you know that is like one of the signature issues that is being discussed in the Biden administration. That's where your vote should go.
I will have to think about it and just discussed it with a couple people and stuff like that. But besides that, I try not to vote blind. I don't like the way that which he's going, and I feel like he's not there mentally or physically.
Okay, fair enough. But just understand, any pro-choice gathering is going to have a whole lot of Democrats there. You're not going to find a lot of Cornel West or Kennedy people there. It is the Democratic Party that's going to reverse that if it ever gets reversed. So keep that in mind. Now, there may be other issues about President Biden where you think he's completely failing, but you brought up women having the right to choose. If that is your most important issue, you should be voting liberal all damn day, because that's the party that is overwhelmingly focused on that, Jonathan. Just want to point that out. You're always welcome back on the program. I do got to move it on, though. Interesting conversation. Come on back anytime. All right, looking in the comments, do not vote Biden. Timothy Merritt with an exclamation point says, do not vote Biden. Well, you probably are pro-life. You're probably not really concerned with rolling back a Roe v. Wade like my last call. If that is a big concern to you, just like if you're really hardcore pro-life and you don't want women to be able to take the life of the unborn, you should vote for Trump. You should absolutely vote for Trump. I mean, that was one of his signature promises when he was running in 2016. I'm going to appoint, what did he say? I'm going to appoint pro-life justices. And yes, they could roll back Roe v. Wade. He was asked that question during the debate with Hillary Clinton. I don't know why folks didn't see it coming with Amy Coney Barrett and Kavanaugh coming on the Supreme Court, but he had stated it ahead of time. If I get elected to president, I'm going to appoint pro-life justices. And yes, it could happen. I mean, he came up. Amy Coney Barrett and Justice Kavanaugh and all of those folks weren't telling the truth about Roe v. Wade, but Trump was. Trump did. He told the truth about it. It says Tamitha says abortion should never have been a federal issue. Fair enough. And that's what we're here talking about, is that President Trump was asked if the states could or should track a woman who is pregnant so that if something happened to the unborn, they could decide to prosecute or not. And he stated that, yeah, that could happen. And, you got to ask the states about that. So he's not resistant to the states tracking a woman that becomes pregnant. So that, yeah, if something happens to your pregnancy, we need to find out, did you take the life? How did that baby why is that baby no longer in you? And they could make their decision. Trump is not resistant to them doing that. Illinois didn't let us vote to ban guns, so why should I support voting for abortion, says Kevin O'Leary. You shouldn't support voting for abortion. If you're pro-life, you are pro-life, Mr. O'Leary. I'm certain of that. So it's not your concern. The very fact that you brought up the way Illinois views Second Amendment supporters and then tied it to the abortion in reference to Illinois shows you're pro-life. You're pissed off at their gun laws, and well, if your gun laws are going to be strict as hell, the hell with voting for abortion. I mean, you're pro-life. I realize women's rights are important, but the whole country and the economy does hinge on, I'm assuming you mean does not hinge on that. The economy does not hinge on, true, but there's a whole bunch of things the American economy does not hinge on, and people are really concerned. The American economy damn sure does not hinge on a transgender woman playing high school basketball. And look how much uproar there is about that. The American economy does not hinge on a hell of a lot of things people are concerned with. So I don't know if it changes when it comes to a liberal issue. Going back to the box, and I appreciate you folks tapping the screen. Damn near got to 100,000, but I'm very happy with the 80,000 of participation, the smashing of the like button on YouTube. If you enjoyed civilized dialogue from both sides of the aisle, you are in the right place. Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Central is when we're here. Monday through Friday, 1,300 hours. If this is what you enjoy, feel free to follow the program on TikTok, a subscription on YouTube, if you will. Going back to the box, racks on racks. Good afternoon, Racks. Welcome to the program. SCOTUS SCOTUS sent Roe v. Wade to the states. Every state that put it on the ballot upheld it. We want choice. Teresa, that is a great point, is that the citizens themselves, not the state legislators, should be the ones deciding whether women have choice or not. It should be up to the actual states to decide. My guess is if you actually talk to women specifically, and I'm just totally making this up out of thin air. It's not based on any real statistic, but my guess is women from age 8 to 80 would probably be in favor of a woman having the right to choose. Probably at least about 75 to 80% of them or more, I believe, would say that. I mean, there's nothing good for women coming out of this stuff. Prosecutions, being victimized by, an assailant and forced to carry their baby. I mean, the whole rolling back of Roe v. Wade is focused on saving the life of the unborn. There's nothing good in it for the mom carrying that child. It's all bad news for the mothers. It is all about saving that child, up to and including maybe even saving the child if it cost the mom her life. Her mentality after maybe being raped or what. Nobody cares about the mom in this. It is all about that kid. Nothing good is coming out of this for mothers. Some may even go to prison. Some, in rare cases, may actually lose their lives because the goal is saving that baby. The goal is not being concerned with that mom at all. Up to and including once the baby is born, no help for her either. Nobody is concerned with the actual mom in this, which is why I believe that if you talk to women alone, probably about 80% of them would be like, this is bad. Going back to the box, I don't know what happened with my last guest, but we will continue moving on with Rod. Good afternoon, Rod. What if the father doesn't want the baby? Nobody gives a damn what the father says. Really, I'm just being honest with you. I think that is an issue, but nobody cares about the dad. Rod, 1024. Good afternoon.
How you doing, Mr. Tim?
I'm doing good. Mr. Tim. Sound like Heat of the Night. Mr. Tibbs.
Hey, I'm an old country boy. I always give respect.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I appreciate you coming on. So what do you think? Do you support states having the right to potentially track mothers so that if she does have an illegal abortion, they can choose whether or not to prosecute?
No.
What state are you in?
No. I'm in Texas.
Okay, your state's one of them, by the way, but go ahead.
Would Trump want his daughter to be tracked if she got pregnant?
Now, he probably just sent her to Canada somewhere and had a procedure done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, what's good for everybody else should be good for his daughter, so she needs to put a tracker on too.
Yeah. I hear your point, but you know, the elite in this country has never been subject to what the masses have been subject to. So I do get your point, though. I'm hearing rumors now. I think this is totally ridiculous, but I'm only going to bring it up because you said you're from Texas. I'm hearing rumors that your state may go purple or even possibly blue. Is that ridiculous, Texas?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
The way Abbott is doing things right now, he's pissing off a lot of people.
So you think it's possible?
I think it's possible.
Wow. Now is Abbott also on the ballot come this November?
I'm not 100% sure. I haven't really looked yet.
Okay.
Tim, I didn't even do politics until all of this Trump started coming up, and then I started looking into it, and I'm like, man, this world is actually gone nuts.
Well, they say that about President Biden, that Biden is the one that's destroying the country. How did you view America during the Trump years versus what we have now under Biden?
I made money both ways.
Same.
I mean, during the Trump, yeah, I make six figures. I left a company. I started my own business. I actually have two businesses. The only thing is when I tried to start my business, it was harder for me as a black man because when I went to a bank and said, I want to open up my company account. My credit union that I had been with for years, that woman looked me in my eye and said, I'm a high risk. That she can't open up the account for a year until I bring her my finances. I'm like, ma'am, this is my money I'm putting into this. What are you talking about?
Wow.
But they were treating me like it was a loan.
Damn. And that's in Texas now. Wow. So you do think that state though may go purple or blue? Now, one of the things you mentioned, and by the way, folks, tap the screen, get me on up into the 90s. Maybe 100,000 is possible with a smaller audience, but thank you folks for tapping the screen on TikTok. Smash that like button on YouTube. I do appreciate it. In regards to your state going blue and all of this stuff going, do you have a major border problem do you see immigrants everywhere like Abbott is saying?
I was in the housing industry when I left. Had a bunch of Hispanics. I don't know if they were illegals or not. I don't know if they were immigrants. I wasn't going to walk up and ask. But now it's harder for them to get people to go do it because they're not around.
So getting rid of the immigrants has caused a labor shortage in that industry is what you're saying. Wow.
Yes.
I'm hearing that. You know, I've heard a few guests come on the show from some of the really anti-immigration states and say the same thing. I think Andy in Alabama came on and said the same thing in those states where they've been really tough on immigration. I think Iowa passed a law a week or two ago that makes it a crime to be in Iowa if you are undocumented. And yeah, they're having an immediate effect on a reduction in labor. I'm hearing that from a few places.
Well, who's getting up on those roofs? Who's building those houses cheap? So everything is going up because now they got to actually hire somebody that don't want to do it for more money.
Yep, and pay them properly. Oh.
And then they start talking about the economy. But who's screwing up the economy? The Republicans.
I'm hearing it's Biden, though. I'm hearing it's Biden that screwed up the economy.
How?
Well, they're talking about I had a guy come on saying him and his wife, he had a black wife out there in Pennsylvania, and he said they can barely afford groceries.
Tell them to stop buying all that Trump bull crap that Trump is selling and put his money in the bank.
You telling me the man walking around with gold tennis shoes on?
Hey, you're trying to back a thrifter. Now, I just heard on the news this morning that his wife came out.
The necklace. The necklace.
A three-ball necklace for $245. I'm like, really? The whole family is now thrifting.
Well, but let me say this. I'm going to have to move it on, Rob, but I will say this in response to your question about that shamrock, three-testicle-looking necklace that Melania is selling. This is what you get when you say you want a businessman to run the country. He's used to selling shit and making a profit. That's what he's doing. That is, he's running the country like a business for himself. But that's what happens.
He's selling it to his MAGA, and they're buying it up.
I gotta give him.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, Tim. You ever seen the movie A Time to Kill?
Love it. Matthew McConaughey, Samuel L.
Yes, and on the end, the way he got away, Samuel got away.
Imagine she's black.
Told the story and flipped it.
Yeah.
What if they flipped it now? Would all of these MAGAs still see the same thing?
Close your eyes and imagine this, Obama.
No, close your eyes and imagine that it's actually Biden that did it.
So
Would you still see the same thing?
I think Samuel L. Jackson would get exonerated in that movie too. I got to move it on. I got to move it on to Rod. Appreciate it. And yeah, I think he makes a good point. You know, same thing with January 6th and things like that. Close your eyes and imagine this Black Lives Matter. I believe that. I do believe that that folks who support Trump are giving Trump a different viewpoint on things that they would see more clear if it was somebody else. And the whole thing I always bring up is the 2020 election. Folks overwhelmingly believe that Biden stole the election, Trump won. And the example I always give is imagine a foreign leader that you do not know, and you're being told that the leader of that country says the election was stolen from him, and his entire party says he's lying about it. His party, folks that served on his administration, are saying he's lying about it. He had a host of court cases, and all of the judges ruled against him. And many of those judges are people he appointed. I do believe it's similar to what he said about the Matthew McConaughey thing. I think most folks, if they didn't know that leader, they would be like, that leader's probably lying. I do believe that. I think we're giving Trump a different sentiment because you know, love, and respect the guy. And you're viewing him differently. But yeah, if you didn't know the guy and you heard some dude saying that everybody around him is lying and I won and all the investigations are wrong, only I'm telling the truth, everybody around me is lying, I don't think folks would believe that guy. Looking in the comments, the swamp he fired says, yo. Yeah, I don't know where the swamp is. I mean, because you say, if we want to suggest that Trump fired the swamp, a lot of swamp creatures Trump is pointing out are people he also hired. Mike Pence wouldn't be in Washington if it wasn't for Trump. Trump brought those folks there, gave them high-ranking positions of power, and then said they were swamp creatures and then had to fire them. It almost is like you set my house on fire and want credit for dialing 911. I wouldn't have the fire if you hadn't said it. I mean, these people are people he hired. They didn't have a job. He gave them a job. So I don't know if you should get credit for that. Looking in the comments. And by the way, Gen X says, track the mom. How about protect the child? Gen X, that's exactly what I'm stating, is the anti-abortion laws are pro-child. I won't say completely anti-woman. There's just no concern for the mother. up to and including how she feels about having to rape his baby, or even if her life is in danger. There is no concern about the welfare or mental health of the mom. It is all about protecting that child. If the mom is lost in the process, who gives a damn? We saved the child. That's how it is viewed. That is literally how it is viewed. Doesn't matter what she's going through. Stay focused on the child. Make sure that child comes to fruition. Damn what she's talking about. And I think that's why I said I don't think most women would support a mindset that really concerns them. It doesn't concern them at all. It doesn't give a damn about them at all. So we'll see how it turns out. Nevertheless, I do it. Wow. Over 100,000 on TikTok. Very high level of participation for a backup page. I cannot thank you enough. Thank you folks for participating on the program. You know how the program is ran. It is always MAGA friendly. Always has been from day one. Always will be in its entirety. But we do allow liberals to come in. We allow liberals to speak. If you don't, but if you do, get my words right, if you do favor uncensored dialogue from both sides of the aisle, you are in the right place. Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Central is when you'll find us here. If you enjoy this type of dialogue without being blocked, banned, or censored by the host or any damn body else, follow the program on TikTok. My YouTubers, feel free to drop a subscription. It's your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. See you tomorrow. To my YouTubers, thank you folks for smashing that like button. Always a pleasure having you here. I will see you folks as well on 1 p.m. tomorrow, 1300 hours.